Critical Frames, a PlayStation podcast, is available on all mainstream audio and video feeds. Find out how you can support the show by heading over to patreon.com/Critical Frames.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Frames, a PlayStation podcast. We are back at you with a couple of other good news stories, a little more positive this week than last week. With the closure of Game Informer and the Bungie employees being laid off, we're in a lot better spirits this week, but we're both a little tired. We got some fun things to talk about. We're going to go through our not top 10 really, but our game of the year for each year, the last 10 years. We're going to talk about at the end, get into what we've been playing. The regular rigmarole. We're excited to be here. Joe, how are you doing this week? How's your week been?
I'm good. What have I done this week? So I played more of Jedi Survivor. I've pushed really hard into the narrative, and I feel like, from what I can tell online, I've only got like 2 or 3 missions, I think, left to do. I'm not going to go into the minutia here, because obviously I'll leave that for what we've been playing, but for anyone that hasn't played it, spoilers, tune out. Close your ears, pause it, skip ahead. I've just gone after Bode in the station. I've just done that Imperial. Is it Inquisitor? It's not an Inquisitor base, is it? It's a. I don't know what you call it.
No, I don't really know.
You don't know? Yeah, it's got it's kind of Inquisitor, but not Inquisitorious or whatever. Yeah, so I've just done that. That's been fun. But I gotta get into the minutia of that later on, because I've never had such a peak and valley experience with a game like this. It's wild. And what else have I done?
Seems like it'll definitively make it less good to you than Fallen Order, since you didn't have that experience.
Yeah. It's just not as consistent for me. I've been doing running. I've been working out. Just working, dude. Working a lot. Not done any more Gundam. Just haven't had the time. Hoping to do that. However, I am working a little bit this weekend, so that's gonna be fun. Yeah, dude. I mean, I've gone cold turkey on all my Discords. Just quit everything. Had to left Sacred Icon.
What's made you feel that way, Joe?
I don't know, dude, because I gotta be honest, I'm in this weird mental space right now where in person I think I'm okay, right? I'm fine, I'm happy, I'm jovial. But then when I go online, I have a case of being I gotta be honest, I'm a dick online. I'm argumentative, I'm sarcastic, I'm apathetical, I don't care. I oftentimes and this is me being completely honest, I'm very, very reductive to other people's thoughts and feelings in many ways, and I'm too clinical with things, and I'm just an arsehole. And I don't know what it is, aside from the only thing I can think of is we've had a death in the family recently, which is I'm not going to go over again. And then also I've never spoke about this on the podcast, but I've had a massive falling out with my dad. I've just to the point where he was just ranting, raging at me, punching walls, doing ridiculous things over something that was really petty. And I drove home at 12 o'clock at night and just told him to get lost, basically. And I haven't spoken to him for a month. And I gotta be honest, I'm in this weird sort of period in my life right now where and this is getting candid, where I in person I'm all right, but I kind of feel I'm drowning a little bit, that's the word I'd use. And I go on with this health craze thing at the moment a lot, and I'm really pushing my body to an obscene degree in every aspect I can. And I think the honest reason for that, and the reason I'm so obsessed with it right now, is because it's a distraction, and it's something that I can really just when I'm doing it, I can completely forget about everything around me, and I do I'm in that element. But then it's weird because a lot of people would play games or watch movies and stuff, and that can take your mind off. I can't do it right now. I'm struggling to play games right now and take my mind off it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm trying to and here's the thing, I don't want to I've taken myself away from Discord because all my friends are there, all my online friends, Wes, you, Corey, Darren, Prey, etc. And I don't want to sacrifice the friendship from this very hopefully short-term space of like or point of contention for me in my own mental, So that's kind of my week in many ways. Like I'm just trying to reassess and sort myself out and figure out why I'm being like that, So yeah, that's my week.
Well, it's a couple things I have to say, because on one hand, well, first of all, I think everybody who uses the internet gets in like weird moments where they're like, I don't know, it could be a myriad of things, but it ultimately comes down to like some fatigue with it. Whether something's actually wrong or not, it's just kind of like, I've been here a lot. I've it's I don't know, it's almost like, we're in these social media places, and I don't think Discord, especially our Discord, I don't think it's the same as social media, because it's not. It's just a little group. But like social media as a whole, it's like you spend, in a sense, every waking moment there. Like that doesn't mean you're on it literally every hour of the day, but like it's just in your pocket all the time, constantly. And I think that we weren't really designed to be that way. So I think sometimes you just kind of hit a wall. But one thing I'll say to you, that this could equally bring you up as much as it brings you down. But
hit me.
You talk about being like reductive on like Discord and stuff. I don't think that has anything, to me, it doesn't, from my eyes, it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with your current life circumstances, because I feel like you were that way 6 months to a year ago.
Okay, yeah.
So,
but
the positive is there is you haven't changed. The negative is, if you feel bad about it, that's just Joe in my mind.
So, I don't know if it's got worse though. Like I do genuinely feel like I'm leaning way more into like apathy and nihilism on the Discord.
I think you probably have a sense of like, for instance, like for those of you that don't know, like in the Discords that I'm in, I ask a question every day, whether it's a would you rather or something silly, or if it's like, oh, what game would you have this developer make? I always ask a question.
Yeah.
And I think because you're there every day, you feel inclined to answer, but more often than not, you don't actually really care about what I'm asking. So you feel like, oh, Halo sucks. It's always sucked, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what you say. So it doesn't bother me at all. Like, I mean, I guess it's become predictable where I'm like, well, Joe's not going to respond to my question in a normal way, but it doesn't bother me at all. And I think if Wes were here to speak, he'd probably be like, oh, dude, yeah, we can all be like a little annoying at sometimes, get each other's nerves, but like ultimately I don't care. And of course, that he would prefer you're there right now, but you got to do what's best for your own mental health.
It's one of those things where like everyone's like, oh, don't go and all this stuff. But at the same time, like I know that objectively, like this isn't right for me to do. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like I try and like look at myself like seriously and self-analyze and be like, you are not being a nice person right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're being a dick, and you've been being a dick.
Yeah, I have that too. I have that.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and like when last night, I mean, me and Wes got into like a discussion. It wasn't necessarily heated. This is the thing. Like none of what I discuss in the Discord. This is the problem with me. None of what I discuss in the Discord is ever heated, ever. Like period. Like I never like even. But the problem is the way I say it, because it's so cold and so calculated in many ways, and it's
text is different too.
Yeah, dude. It comes across like I'm trying to piss people off, or I am pissed off, and I'm not. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make it right that I'm doing that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I came away from what I said the other day to Wes, and it was the most, like, pathetic thing ever. I was just like, I can't be doing this. Like, this is not normal. This is not healthy. Even if it's just about me, it's not healthy. It's not healthy to my own mindset. So, yeah, dude, I just need to take some time away. Like, I'm not abandoning everyone. Like, I will come back, no doubt, in my mind. Eventually, once I've figured it out. And this is the thing, I don't know what is causing it. Like, I think it's just maybe, like you said, maybe the ubiquity of the social media in general just being at my fingertips all the time, that it makes the whole process a bit reductive, So,
and sometimes what's the saying? Absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? Like, if you're on Discord every day, 365 days a year, you start to get like just, I don't know, you start to get apathetic towards it. And then you take off a couple weeks, you come back, you're like, oh, this is a lot of fun. I forgot about this,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as far as my week goes, nothing too interesting. I've been on an X-Men movie spree because of watching Deadpool and Wolverine. since we last talked, I've watched several, but I know I finished Dark Phoenix last night, which was the last X-Men movie released.
What do we think? Can you rate them now? Can you rate the X-Men films?
Yeah, I pretty much can. And here's the funny thing is I saw Dark Phoenix in the theater when it came out, and I went to see it with the intention of like, I'm going to see a bad movie. Because I was like, who gives a shit about Dark Phoenix? Like, especially it was like the MCU was at its, like, think about this, guys. Like, Dark Phoenix came out right around Endgame time.
Yeah.
So like MCU was at its peak. X-Men wasn't part of the MCU. Disney was still like negotiating the rights with Fox or whatever. So I just saw it as like a joke movie. And I remember me and my buddy went there and we laughed at the movie the whole time.
That was the last one, right?
Yeah, that was the last X-Men.
Yeah.
But me sitting down and watching these alone with like taking it seriously, I was able to find more enjoyment. And I actually think now Dark Phoenix isn't very good. It's pretty bland. I think its biggest issue is it's very bland. It feels like the movie feels like a contractual obligation. More than
I remember feeling like that. Like nothing felt like there was anything.
Nobody felt passionate about it.
Yeah, it was just
any angle.
Yeah. I mean, the baddie was the Jessica Chastain, right?
Chastain,
And I remember her just being like, so she's a woman. I feel like she just wore a suit the entire film.
No, she didn't even wear a suit. She was just her. She just had a wig on. She was just like white. She had like white hair. She's technically an alien, but she just plays herself.
She's just a yeah.
But I will say, to my surprise, I enjoyed it more than the first time, and I like it more than Apocalypse. I think Apocalypse is it's pretty bad.
I think Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse was the weirdest looking suit ever.
It was it was awful. It ruined the whole movie. The suit and the dialogue they gave him and his ability to perform in the suit. He's came out in interviews and said like I couldn't even hardly move. I couldn't turn my head at all. He said that his biggest excitement for getting the role in X-Men Apocalypse was to work with amazing actors like McAvoy, Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, and he said that he barely got to interact with them all unless they were looking right at him in a scene. Even when they were between shots, he had to be separate from everyone else because he had to have special seats and special like stuff for his suit. So he didn't really enjoy the process that much. But rewatching Apocalypse, that movie started out pretty good. It was pretty solid in the beginning. You get like you get this fun opening with you get introduced to Cyclops and you get another cool like Quicksilver running to music scene and stuff like that. But then the back half of the movie is all this Apocalypse stuff and it's really corny and it's just really boring. So far the only movies I haven't rewatched are X-Men Origins Wolverine, which I know is my least favorite. That movie sucks ass. And then I haven't seen the Wolverine again, which is the Japanese one.
Yeah, to me, that whole like Wolverine standalone film stuff was never.
But Logan,
from Logan, like I don't even count. That's the thing. I don't even count it.
It's the same director who did the Wolverine, though.
That's what's wild. But I just think the Wolverine is just like not it. Like I really don't.
Yeah, right now off the top of my head, being very broad, I would say Days of Future Past is my favorite X-Men movie, followed by Logan. Then followed by X-Men 1 and X-Men 2. And then probably like no, that's wrong actually. I would put first class. So it'd be Days of Future Past, Logan, X-Men 1 because of nostalgia, First Class, X-Men 2. I'd probably go Deadpool 1. I haven't watched like New Mutants or anything like that.
Okay.
Probably then Deadpool 2, then Dark Phoenix, then Apocalypse, then the Wolverine, then X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen New Mutants. Am I forgetting one? I don't think so. I'm not counting Deadpool. I mean, if Deadpool and Wolverine would be pretty high, I'm not counting that one.
Yeah, I don't.
I think I covered them all.
I think that's it. Yeah, I mean,
all the X-Men movies. There was 2 Deadpool movies. There was the New Mutants. Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Yeah. So. I think mine's probably Deadpool, the first one.
No, Deadpool's your favorite of all?
Yeah, probably.
Even more than Logan and Days of Future Past. Okay.
I think Logan is a better film, like 100%. But I just love Deadpool because it's just funny, dude. And it was like it came out around the time that like I think MCU was taking itself very seriously with like the Russo brothers and stuff, right? Like, and then also. Well, around that time, and then Fox.
It was really like the taste in people's mouths when they saw Deadpool was Age of Ultron.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so that's what it was. It was less that taking it seriously. It was more like,
Yeah.
oh, we're getting fatigued by MCU.
Mm.
Here's the thing too, it's funny, like right now we're in the whole like, oh, MCU is not the greatest multiverse thing, which is
Yeah.
fair and true, but like if you think about the MCU, it was like build up to Avengers 1, kind of a bit of a come down and kind of a bit of a crash at Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And then once we started getting like, oh, Civil War, oh, okay. And then it's like, oh, damn. It's like, Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok. And it just ramped up and now we're kind of on the downhill again. But anyways, back to what you were saying, Deadpool.
No, yeah, it goes in peaks and valleys, these things. You're never going to get the most consistent like timeline and franchise when it's something is this large. I mean,
even like X-Men, like some of those are like, I mean, Days of Future Past, Logan. Oh, man, amazing.
Oh,
and I talk about... Oh, I left The Last Stand out of there, too. I left X-Men 3, The Last Stand out of there.
That one's not that great.
That one, I like that actually better than Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. But
yeah, that's not saying much, though, I don't think.
No.
But, yeah, dude. I'm looking at them now, like, yeah, Days of Future Past, Origins. X-Men Origins, to me, is all right, I think, until you kind of get to the last third, I would say, potentially. I don't know.
I don't remember any of it being good, but I have to rewatch it. I've only seen it once.
I didn't mind like the I like the whole like seeing him going through various different wars in the past and stuff with his brother Sabretooth and stuff.
Which is crazy. They didn't even try to make his brother look anything remotely like the Sabretooth of the first movie.
and the comic book, But so like I looked that up. Apparently, the reason why Sabretooth is like he is in X-Men 1, and I think even in the comics is because just like Wolverine, even though I think in the comics they're not brothers, right? Just like in the comics, the mutation sort of expands like Killer Croc's.
Oh, it gets worse.
And the only reason why Wolverine's doesn't get worse is because he chooses to repress the beast within him, and also he has the adamantium helps repress the mutation.
Okay.
So yeah, whereas Sabretooth completely, especially in the comics, as far as I'm aware, depending on what you read, he fully accepts the beast within him. So
Yeah, but no, there are just a lot of highs and lows there. I mean, I gotta give credit though after watching all of them, like most of them so far. Like Fox knew how to make a superhero movie. They didn't know how to do it all the time. But like Days of Future Past and Logan and Deadpool, X-Men 1 and 2, First Class, really solid films. But stuff like X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men Last Stand, Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, they kind of just, they were, and then the New Mutants I've heard is pretty terrible. I have not seen it for myself.
Well, I'm looking at them now. So like, we're going to move on quickly from this, but like you've got, in my opinion, you've got these are the ones that are hits in my opinion, overall objectively. You got X-Men, Days of Future Past, the Wolverine, Logan, X-Men 2, First Class, Deadpool 2. That's 8 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So
to be fair, like I don't think Dark Phoenix or Apocalypse are offensively bad. I think the only ones that offended people were X-Men Origins Wolverine, and even though I like it, I think The Last Stand I think that offended people.
I mean, it's the last stand, last one. Like you have to hit it out of the park, right?
And you didn't. It was the worst of the 3, easy.
Yeah.
But other than that, we decided to take a break from potty training my daughter because she's not even 2 yet, and it's just not working out right now. So we're
she ain't cooperating.
She ain't there yet. So we're gonna take a break on that and have some peace of mind for a while. We were losing our marbles, chasing her around, trying to throw her on the potty anytime she goes. So, but yeah, that's been pretty much it for my week. Gonna have some friends over tonight for some delivery pizza, which will be good.
Where you getting it
from? There's a local place called I think Erica's ordering it from Gino's is my guess. There's Gino's, there's a Giovanni's, but yeah, you don't know those places. You weren't here long enough to try them out, Joe. All you know is the classic fat patties.
It was good enough for me, bro. It was really good. But so here's a question on pizza. What is the best, like, because you obviously have like Chicago pizza and New York pizza. Yeah. What is like the best pizza in the US? Do you know? Well,
I mean, that's going to vary from person to person. I mean, some people it will be Chicago pizza.
Yeah.
Some people will be New York pizza. Mine's a weird cut. I grew up in Illinois and Iowa, and they had what was known as like Quad City style pizza, which that's probably just because I grew up with it. To me, that was kind of the best. It was like, I don't know, more bready, more doughy. but like not doughy in the sense you're gonna like get a mouthful of like pudding. That would be nasty.
No,
But like I don't know, more doughy-ish, I guess. Where and more, it felt a little more fresh. Where like around here, the big ones are like Geno's and Giovanni's, and they're like
Yeah.
really good and flavorful, but they're like super thin and greasy.
Right.
And then like Chicago pizzas. I like Chicago pizza, but when I go there, I mean, I've been there a couple times. When you pay for it, it's like I don't know. Is it so good that I'm glad I paid $27 for a small pizza?
That's crazy.
So and then New York pizza is pretty great too.
Is it something to do with the water? I heard it's something to do with the water over there. Why the pizza's like
I'm not really a pizza connoisseur enough to know, but I know that it does change quite a bit depending on where you're at. That's why it's always like whenever there's a question of like, oh, what foods would you take to an island? Like so many people pick pizza because if you choose pizza, it's almost like you're choosing 50 different meals because you can change the style, the bread, the toppings, the sauce. Yeah, I mean the way it's cooked. I mean it's insane. It's good.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. But yeah, dude, what's going on behind you as well? I'm curious.
Oh yeah, and I was going to ask you, does my voice sound pretty good still?
I think so.
Okay, because like there's a lot of furniture that's not in here anymore.
I mean, maybe there'll be a little echo. You know,
I can tell there's a slight bit more echo here, but yeah, we're gonna make this room more of a proper guest bedroom, and we have a huge walk-in closet in our bedroom, which is where I'm gonna move this computer and some of my stuff. I've gotten rid of some of the stuff that I've kept in the room that I don't feel like I need or want anymore. Sold some stuff, got rid of some stuff. We're moving stuff out. We just sold this giant entertainment center. It's crazy, dude, how different things are than they were like in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
This very big, nice wooden entertainment center I had. If it was the 90s or like early 2000s, I probably could have sold it for like $800 and someone would have came and paid me that. But in 2024, people want things to be light and sleek and low profile. And you're more likely to give this thing away for free than you are to sell it for any money. Because if you go on Facebook Marketplace or a Craigslist or something, they're a dime a dozen. These giant, like very extra over the top wooden shelves with multiple compartments, and they look nice and stuff, but like people don't want to lift something that takes multiple people and it takes up so much space in their living room. So we had it listed for like a month for only $100, and it's worth a lot more than that. And finally, after a month or so, the right person wanted it and paid us $100. So, which is better than giving it away for free, which we thought we were going to have to do. So yeah,
nice,
the stuff on the bed is stuff I haven't got like put in a new space yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure you'll see more stuff be different here. And one of these times we're going to start up the podcast, and I'll just be in a different room entirely, which the room that I'm moving it to my wife has some of her stuff decorated with it, and it's more weeboo shit. So prepare yourself for that.
God, Wes is gonna love it. Yeah, really sticking it to the PlayStation as well with the Master Chief in the back there.
I know, right? Just like Halo PlayStation podcast, and we got Master Chief right there. Right next to him that's a Game of Thrones complete series.
Okay,
and
nice.
I got Final Fantasy books there, Zelda books.
Nice.
Funko Pops up there. That's a Hobbit map behind there.
I need to put up some shelves as well, too, because I obviously I'm building all these Gundam, but I have nowhere for them to go.
Yeah.
So like
that's where, and I mean maybe this isn't quite what you were saying, but like this is kind of where I'm getting at too at this age. Not that there's anything wrong with it at any age, but like with my daughter and my family and the dogs and just I don't know, just my life getting older. It's like I feel less and less inclined to want to have copious shelves full of knickknacks that I don't need. Like they're cool, right? It's like it's even like this Master Chief helmet. Like I don't ever want to get rid of this thing. This thing's amazing. But it's like in practice, it is something for me to own and sit on a shelf and just pass by and gaze at every now and then, right?
Yes. Like it doesn't do anything. Yeah.
It doesn't serve any purpose. And like once you start collecting a lot of stuff and before you know it, you have like a small store in your bedroom and it's like,
Well, this is the thing. You kind of need like a whole dedicated big ass room to it, right? Like that's, I don't know, like a unit and stuff. Like I work with someone, my project manager, like he has a whole unit and he's going to put he collects Legos, and the thing with Legos is, the sets you can sell them on and they're evergreen, they keep value and you can resell them, and it's crazy how expensive they can get, especially if you keep them pristine in a box.
It is. I've got a friend who collects Legos stuff.
He's going to put them in his unit, you see, and like build a whole wall to it and everything. So unless you've got that, where do you put it all? Don't know.
It's tough because I feel like in my position as somebody who's like middle class, has a family, we
Yeah.
have money, but we're not rich. We're not even close to rich. We have money. We're not poor.
Yeah.
Um, in this kind of position, it feels like I feel less inclined to be a collector because it's like I'd have to really push the boundaries and make bad priority choices to collect something. You know, let's
Yeah.
say I wanted to get like I want to go into PS1 collecting. Like I could do that, but the rate in which I could get nice quality copies of OG games,
Hmm.
I would have to like do it sporadically. I'd have to be like low key spending $90 on this game where I probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But if you suddenly gave me like even a couple $100,000, you know, maybe I'd want to start a little collection. But then it's like, well, that just begs the question: did you need it to begin with? You know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyways, let's get into the stories, Joe.
Yep.
I got, let's see, 5 news stories we'll get into here. First one's pretty straightforward. This comes from Eurogamer. Sony has now sold over 61 million PlayStation 5 consoles, but hardware unit sales have fallen by 32% year on year. The company has released its latest financial report today, revealing 2.4 million PS5 consoles were sold in the most recent quarter. That compares to 3.3 million compared to the same quarter of last year. However, Sony has seen an overall 12% increase in game revenue year on year, resulting in a 33% increase in profit. So we know that the PlayStation 5 is selling super well. We
Yep.
know that it's like the most popular place to play as far as consoles go. 61 million consoles in 4 years is great. It's definitely going to hit 100 million as time goes on. There's going to be revisions to the console, a pro unit, pack-in
Yep.
bundles, price reduction, stuff like that. But it is 32% less than last year. And I have my reasonings for why I think that is, but let's pass over to you first, Joe. Why do you think we're not seeing PlayStation sales, 5 console sales, moving as quickly as they were like a year ago? Is something bad happening? Is something normal happening? What do you think?
I mean, it could be a myriad of things. I mean, the fact that we're so far through the generation now, and in a lot of ways, it doesn't seem like. I mean, one of the biggest things for me, I think, is that we haven't got any news on upcoming first-party internal AAA studio games.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't got any Last of Us Part 3. We haven't got a Ghost of Tsushima 2 necessarily announced, even though that it's heavily rumored that it's obviously in development and stuff. It's kind of, and then also Santa Monica Studio has gone very silent ever since Valhalla DLC for God of War Ragnarok. I also think it's something to do with the fact that a lot of people have just got them.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. Sometimes it's Occam's razor in this case, and I think that another thing is that a lot of games are on the PS4. You know, there's so many games that are on both generations, and when that's the case, a lot of the time these sales stagnant, and I think that's probably the main two reasons in my mind. I think I don't know. I think it's also potentially that like PS Plus also doesn't have the essential game pack. You know, they have that game pack as well. That's gone very recently. Or, well, somewhat recently. And I think in many ways that not being there is even less of an incentive to own and upgrade a PS5 and keep things going, potentially, because they might as well just stay on the PS4.
Yeah, you pretty much touched on the same things I thought. I think it halfway through the generation, not necessarily everybody who wants a PlayStation 5 has one now, but everyone who feels they need one by this point has kind of got one. And I think it's a combination of a couple things that is going to make the sales go crazy again. One, it's first party IP, like you said. I think there's a lot of people who are on the PS4 who played Ragnarok, who played Ghost of Tsushima, and those are on the PS4. And a Ghost of Tsushima 2 is them going, I got to upgrade to a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Like we saw that last year with people upgrading for Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
Like you're going to see people again for Ghost of Tsushima 2. You're going to see people for eventually a Naughty Dog project or Santa Monica's next project or a Last of Us 3, which I mean, The Last of Us 3 is probably PS6, honestly. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah, probably.
So you have that. And then I think also just like nothing too interesting has been done with the hardware recently.
Yeah.
I think a pro console would obviously sell a bunch of units. A lot of people who have PlayStation 5s now are going to go get that version.
Mm-hmm.
A price reduction hasn't happened. Like all we've seen is a price increase. Yep. I think if tomorrow you found out you could get the full PS5 with the disc drive slim model with a game pack in for $399.99. They'd start flying off the shelves again, but we haven't had that. And even if they just did something like here's a new model that's got a special, I don't know, it's red and it's got special sounds when you boot it up, something like that. Sony's really just kind of maintained like being quiet and just letting the console sell naturally. No new units, no pro model, no first party. As far as first party goes this year, all we have is Concord and Astrobot, and Concord's not doing too well from the betas and pre-order numbers. And Astrobot, while I think Astrobot is going to do extremely, extremely well, I don't know if it's the console it's the game to make people literally purchase a PS5.
It's not.
So I don't think we'll see much of a bump in PlayStation 5 console sales at all from Astrobot. I think we'll see high numbers for Astrobot as its own game selling. But yeah, you pretty much touched on it. I think we're just in a little bit of a middle sag. If they do pull out all the stops, like I think a lot of us are thinking they're going to do in the last half of the year, where it's like, here's a teaser for Ghost of Tsushima 2, and here's a PlayStation 5 Pro coming soon, and we want to let you know that Naughty Dog's next game is in development, or just stuff like that. Not even necessarily game releases. I could see it really ramping up again, but right now we're in a bit of a lull or a sag. What do you want to say, Joe?
I wonder, I mean, it also mentions here that the PlayStation Plus subscribers have dropped from 118 last quarter, this is 118 million users, last quarter to 116 million. I wonder whether that's just like a delayed onset effect of the price increase in October 2023 with the various PlayStation Plus tiers. And I wonder, like, this is purely speculation, whether that in itself puts people off potentially going into just buying a PlayStation 5. You know, they see the cost of like a high tier subscription service like out the gate as soon as they buy it. Because, you know, it's something that like not a lot of people would be looking at, no doubt, but there'll be people who buy PlayStations or buy consoles. You know, I mean, you look at Xbox, look at how much Game Pass is like basically the figurehead, the main staple of that console now. When people buy Xboxes, they will be going into it looking for a deal, looking for that subscription. And obviously with this new change in pricing for that platform, people are going to be going, oh, well, is Xbox kind of worth it anymore? You know, like, should I just stick to my PC, or should I just stick to my PlayStation? Should I just stick to my Switch, whatever? Or should I stick to my Xbox 360 or whatever? Because there'll be people out there, you know, still on that 7th gen hardware.
It's funny you say that, because I actually heard recently that there's people that are just now upgrading from the Xbox 360 to a next-gen console because we finally got college football again. The last college football was 360.
Yeah.
So, wild.
So yeah, dude. And I think maybe like it's not too far out of the way to speculate that is potentially maybe a thing with PlayStation as well. Maybe they're looking at the fact that before, you know, this like sort of all access pass, you know, trifecta tier of, you know, essential, extra, and premium was not that bad of a price. But then as soon as they started to hike up the cost, then the console sales started to go a little bit down in very small increments due to that very fact of people going, maybe I don't really fancy a PlayStation. Maybe I fancy an Xbox because of the Game Pass. I don't know. It's just me speculating that in many ways, but I can see that.
Well, I think there's been reports. I think there's been reports overall, like tech industry wide, that people are really getting fatigued on subscriptions because it's gotten to the point where everything around them has a subscription, so people are just less likely to engage with it. My only thing with the PlayStation is I've always kind of been on my brain's always kind of said, I feel like people buy consoles not really thinking about having to pay for online until they've already bought it. That's how I always see it.
I think
but I could be wrong. I could be wrong though. Because like even me, like even when I because I rarely play games online, but a lot of times I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I will jump in that game with you. And then I go to my Xbox and it's like, you got to subscribe to Gold, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot you got to pay for that. That sucks, you know?
Yeah, wild.
So.
But whereas Steam and PC are just like, no, play with anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I mean, obviously Sony'd like to sell more, but I think they probably looked at this way ahead of time and went, yeah, this is going to be a lower moment for us console sales because we're not bringing anything new to the table.
Yeah.
So
you got to, supply and demand. And I think in many ways they're not making demand because they're not supplying anything, you know, like, they have obviously Stellar Blade going out and then like Rise of the Ronin and stuff, which was
all
cool.
second party deals.
But
I don't know why. I guess the industry has decided not to call it second party anymore. I'm not sure why. Like that's what it was growing up. Second party is when.
What do they call it then?
I don't know. I guess just like a third party deal or third party exclusives, I guess what they call it. But like growing up, you had second party deals. It was a company. It was a game that was not owned by the console manufacturer, but they paid them to have it exclusive.
Yeah.
So I still call it second party, but I hear all the time on like popular podcasts, people it's not called that anymore.
It's really hard, right? Because like you can reel off loads of minutia and just like very specific jargon in this sense. Like you can be like if I refer to Rise of Rome, it's like it's a third party studio in a second party deal on a first party game temporarily, at least for PlayStation 5 and PC or whatever. And it's like, but to all the people who don't know what that means, it's like, did he just speak hieroglyphics?
Yeah. Well, does it even matter? Yeah, it's like why? Well, people don't care, right? Like, if you're just walking into Walmart, Stellar Blade, you can only get that on PlayStation. It's a PS5 exclusive.
Yes,
you know?
Exactly.
So people will probably think it's a PlayStation character, right? Like just because it's on there, you know.
Yeah.
But kind of backing up something you said earlier, going into our next article, it ties right into this. It was just announced that Star Wars Jedi Survivor is going to be coming to last gen consoles, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, on September 17th, 2024. So a year and 6 months after Jedi Survivor launches as a next gen title, it's going to be retroactively released to old gen consoles. And that kind of blows my mind that we haven't seen yet like how poorly this thing runs. And for all we know, maybe it's like a very stable 30 frames at like dynamic resolution, but it is wild to me to think that a Brian that was 21 years old buying his Xbox One, the VCR Xbox One in 2013, 21-year-old Brian in 2013 was buying an Xbox console that would be able to run the newest Star Wars game from 2023. Wild to me, bro. What is this going to run like on an OG Xbox One? I think that console is just going to go and just turn off. You know?
Yeah, you're gonna get the Red Ring of Death come back somehow on a generation that didn't have it.
Yeah, it's crazy how, because the way games are developed nowadays, like it is the same game. Like if a game gets backported, it's the same game. But do you remember back in like the PS1 N64 days, if it was on a less powerful console, it'd just be a whole entire different game. It'd be like, here's Quake on PCs, but here's Quake on consoles. And
Quake 2 on PC to PS1 was drastically a different game.
It's like, this level doesn't have 4 walls that I normally used to seeing. Like the walls are gone, and there's no enemies in this level that were in this other, in the other version. But I don't know. What do you think, Joe? Like, I am probably one of the biggest advocates for people being able to play games they want to play and not having to upgrade to the newest hardware, because I do really like that. Because we're not the normal gamers, right? Like we're quote unquote hardcore gamers, but like your grandma's cousin's uncle who just owns a PS4 and is like, I like Star Wars. Yeah. Oh, I can't play it because it's on the PS5. Like I like that he gets to play it on this, but like, even me being that kind of person, I'm like, really, guys? Like 4 years into a new generation and 11 years removed these consoles, you're going to back release a game from a year and a half ago. Like, I don't know, it feels weird to me. They must see some real significant sales potential in this.
Yeah.
What do you have to say, Joe?
I think this is, I mean, like, I'll start with, I bloody knew it. Like I had a really weird inclination with this game that there's some, like, it doesn't truly feel next gen. Obviously, I've been talking about the myriad of technical issues that I've been having on the PS5 with this game, and maybe this is something to do with it. Maybe it's the fact that like they were always in the back of their mind, knew that they had to reserve development resources for the fact that this game is on the PS4 and the Xbox One. Yeah. I mean, I've spoken about this in the past. When you walk on the PS5, at least, I don't know if this is the case on PC or Xbox, but on PS5, even on performance mode, where you think everything would load very quickly because there's flatter textures, lower like anti-aliasing quality, etc., and shadow quality and stuff, lighting. When you go to the cantina, you have to stand there for like 5 seconds. It feels like it might be even 10. Fuck knows what it is. I think it depends on what's going on. So it can load all the shit in that cantina, like all the people that you can talk to and stuff, because they are not present in the instance when you're outside. Which is wild, dude. It's like absolutely wild. And when I was doing it, I was like, what is going on? And I wonder, obviously we don't know if this is the case, purely speculative once again, but is that because they wanted this game to be able to run on PS4, Xbox One, and if they push too far with it going forward, they could never roll back and backport it to the previous generation? I think this is weird. Just like you, Brian, I will never say like, damn, dude, like, I don't want little Timmy who can't afford an Xbox Series X to not be able to play Jedi Survivor. Like, I want little Timmy to play all the games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think I should reiterate too, Joe, that I am much more likely to feel this way in the first year or two of a new console's launch.
Yeah, me too.
If we're 4 years in, I think it's ridiculous for little Timmy needs to realize that next gen games shouldn't be expected to be retro ported to their old console 4 years into a new. Like,
For him.
think about how many iPhones have come out in 4 years. Like, it's insane to expect that a 2013 Xbox One should be able to play Jedi Survivor, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And in many ways, like, they could take a page out of Apple where, like, I mean, I've got an iPad Air, the original iPad Air. Hang on.
Let's see.
The original iPad Air, bro,
Oh, okay.
right? Works fine. I just use it for YouTube, chilling, you know, reading, like, books and shit and, like, just PDFs and stuff.
YouTube runs well on it still?
Yeah, still works well, but it literally, if I go to update it to the latest firmware, it's like, nah, fuck off, mate. You're not having it.
It's like it's like that scene where Gollum's like, "It will kill us, kill us." Like, you try to update it, it'll just a little steam will come out of it and it'll explode.
Yeah, dude. And so yeah, and it has quirks because it's so old now, but that they should take a page out of Apple's book. But I also understand this is the hardest part, right? Because when you start. Gaming is the best when you are not involved with all this minutia because you don't have to think about all this bollocks, right? Like when I think about backwards compatibility, so many factors come into it. It's like, oh yeah, the business side of it. Oh yeah, the accessibility side of it, but also the developer constraint side of it. And it's like, there's three things right there that the layman gamer does not think about. And like you said, when they walk in and they buy Jedi Survivor on the shelf when it's on the PS4, September 17th.
What's that marketing going to be like now, though? Little Timmy, who has walked by Jedi Survivor 8 times already for PS5, Xbox Series X only, and now it's suddenly going to be on the shelf for PS4 and Xbox One. Another thing, I'm assuming they're going to sell it at full price, whether that's 60 or 70, but I've seen I bought Survivor 6 months ago on next-gen consoles for half price. So is it going to be a thing where we're going to constantly see next-gen Survivor on sale and then this weird full price for like Xbox One, PS4?
I don't think they can, right? They can't do that.
I don't know, dude. I think they're gonna do it.
Dude, let me go on.
Maybe 50. Maybe 50.
I gotta go on the pre-order. I gotta, because there's pre-orders. You can pre-order right now.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us what the full price is for.
Well, right now the browser's just loading. EA's thing is not loading for me. Service unavailable. Oh no, it's up now. It's up. Hang on, the PlayStation Store works. There you go. Xbox.
PS4 Jedi Survivor.
PS4 on the PlayStation is £44.99.
40. So it's probably about $50 here.
Yeah. Okay. That's quite pricey. Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess it's $20 cheaper than the launch price of Jedi Survivor, but I literally got it on sale 6 months ago for $30, and it's been on sale like crazy since then.
Let me go on PlayStation. So PlayStation currently doesn't have like a Amazon have it for £30 right now, so that's £15 less than the PS4 version.
See. Yeah, it's always on sale. So you're just getting screwed to stay on the old generation at that point. It's going to be a worse game. Like best case scenario, Jedi Survivor is going to be 30 frames, not locked. It's going to have dips, and it's going to be probably like 720p upscaled resolution with like some kind of dynamic loading, terrible anti-aliasing. It's going to be a way worse version, and you're going to pay more for it.
It's going to be like when they came out with Splinter Cell games. On the on the PS2, the Xbox, etc., on the 6th generation, there was always like a fucking like I think there was a Game Gear version of Chaos Theory, or was it Pandora Tomorrow? I think it was Pandora Tomorrow. And it's gonna be like that. Like you go that far back, it's like, oh, why not just go back to like Nintendo DS and make Jedi Survivor for the Nintendo DS? It's like good luck. But yeah, dude, wild, absolutely wild. I don't know who this is marketed to aside from people still on those platforms, but. Just upgrade, guys. Like if you can upgrade, like I understand times are hard, money's hard, etc., cost of living. I get it.
You gotta feel bad too that like you could always until this generation, you could always expect by the 4-year mark or quite a bit earlier a generous price decrease.
Yeah,
and that has not happened at all. Like if this, I mean, I could look it up if I really want to know exactly, but I would wager that the PS4 was $100 off now at 4 years in from what it was. Probably $299.99.
Yeah. Yeah.
At 4 years in, the Pro was out
Mm-hmm.
at a higher price would be my guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you can't get that. Can't get that this round. So
Rip.
all right, moving on to our next story. This is Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy Finale will receive revamped Queen's Blood card game. Director Naoki Hamaguchi has confirmed card game Queen's Blood will make a return for the third part of the Remake trilogy. Right now, we are preparing a revamped or even better version of Queen's Blood for the next title of the series. So, Joe, you own this game. You haven't played it yet. Obviously, it was my most anticipated game this year.
Yeah, it's somewhere over there.
So, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that came out this year is is an amazing game. Generous with its content, deserves so much praise. But if I had to critique it, one of its biggest problems is it's got too much stuff that it doesn't need. But it's got tons of mini games. But one of the crown jewels of the game is Queen's Blood, the card game. It's probably the only card game within a game that's given Gwent a run for its money. Everyone loves Queen's Blood. It's really fun.
Yep.
Even people who say they don't like card games have played Queen's Blood and had a great time. I've loved it. It's great that they're bringing it back for the final part of the remake trilogy. I always get a little scared when they see revamped because whenever somebody revamps a thing, to me, it's usually not as much fun. I know a lot of people said that the Gwent standalone game wasn't as fun as the one in Witcher 3. I don't know why that is, but it was different. Yeah. So, even within Rebirth, they redid a mini game from Remake, and it's not as much fun. So
right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing with Gwent is the reason why a lot of people I think didn't like. I really like the standalone Gwent game. Like, I really like it. Like, I mean, I play it passively. I'm not like trying to play ranked in it or anything, so I just simply don't have time. And I'm not really that big of a card guy anyway, like card gaming guy. So yeah, I liked both. I think one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people don't like the Gwent standalone version as opposed to the one in The Witcher 3 is just because you can't really cheese it as much, and you can't like stack a ridiculous amount of cards to like demolish all in one chain reaction kind of shit. From what I can tell, but
it's more balanced and it's less fun.
Yeah,
for some people.
I mean that's the thing with The Witcher 3, right? Like The Witcher 3 Gwen, if you get good at that, fuck me, like you can destroy the NPCs. Like it's unreal. Like if you get a good synergy going with your cards. So yeah, I understand what you mean by revamping it. Is there anything necessarily wrong with Queen's Blood?
I think it's kind of what you just said about Gwent is that it can kind of be, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you can cheese it, but to me, as I played more and more, it felt to me more like, I don't know. It could be enhanced or balanced better, but that might ruin some of the fun for me. Because like the whole idea, without over explaining it, of Queen's Blood is basically you have 3 lanes, and you lay a card, they lay a card, and you have to make sure 2 of your lanes have more points than they do. So at least it's 2 lanes
similar to Gwent.
Have to win. Yeah, and but a lot of the game, and I've heard a lot of people say this besides just myself, a lot of playing Queen's Blood is like playing a big card here, playing a big card there, and seeing if the RNG rewards you for it. And if it does, you win, and if it doesn't, you just lose and do it again.
Okay.
So it could probably be more balanced in a way where it's like, oh, it's genuinely skill all around that makes you win, not so much RNG. So,
right. Okay. Yeah.
So that's probably what they'll do. And I think like there's been a call for like, can we get Queen's Blood as like a physical real life game? And I think that they probably will do that, but they're probably wanting to wait till they get the rules fixed proper, like with a revamp.
Bro, I on my Etsy, right? You know, like that store thing that you can.
Yeah.
It's like eBay, but like custom orders more, right? Like,
stuff,
it's more artistry in many ways. I've got like favorited like this 150 pounds Gwent Master Collection that includes every card in the game.
That'd be neat.
And it comes with like a box and shit. And I'm like, bro, I'd love that, but I don't know if I can justify spending 150 pounds on that because I'd love to play it with people. That's the thing. Like, bring the boys around and just start playing and stuff.
Play
but I feel like
IRL. So you'd be like, you know, I've always joked that like if Joe goes on one of his camping trips up in the mountains, if I pull out like a PS5 and a TV, out
I'm
of my
leaving you.
backpack.
I'm leaving you.
He's leaving my ass because he's like, we didn't come here to play video games, touch some grass. But if I said, hey Joe, I'm really feeling like some Gwent, and he's like, Brian, you better not. And then I pull out Gwent physical card collection. He'd be like, okay, that's allowed. That's allowed.
Yeah, but I'll be all on. I mean, we play cards now. We play what's it called? Is it Presidents or some shit? I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, we play that now.
What if one of your boys pulled out like Pokemon cards? How would you feel?
Dude, I haven't played Pokemon in so long, and even when I had them, I was so young, so I didn't really play the card game.
You just had fun with looking at them and stuff.
Yeah, looking at them, collecting them and stuff, and I never had many good ones. So, but I would learn, I would play it. Like, I have no idea what's going on, but yeah, I'd love it. But yeah, dude, I don't know, cards are cool, like I just love it. The thing with Gwent, though, I think in many ways is you have to appreciate potentially. I mean, you could have fun with playing the game, but you would have to love it. I think you would have to know where it comes from and play it in game and stuff and appreciate that side of it. If I like, it's not the equivalent of like busting out Monopoly and then everyone being like, that's sick. It's gonna be like, what is this? So yeah. But as for Queen's Blood, don't you find it weird how this is the story about, like, this is one of the latest stories on the finale to this trilogy? Out of anything you could talk about, you talk about Queen's Blood, and I think this is representative of the game itself. Like the game was so like known for its amazing plethora of mini games like Fort Condor and stuff, which was obviously introduced in the remake trilogy. Anyway, it was introduced in the intermission DLC for Yuffie.
Yeah. That's what they redid in the Rebirth. I didn't like as much was Fort Condor.
Oh, what did they change?
It's more limiting. Like you have hero units, which is cool. Like you can put like a little cloud down on the field. But you're more limited in how many pieces you can play, and it just made it less fun. And it's on a timer. It's on a timer now too.
Oh, they timed it in the intermission as well. The DLC.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe the timer's more
more pressing.
Shorter. Yeah, more pressing.
I found that really I found the timer really poor in Fort Condor because what it makes you do is like really push just to you butt rush them. It's not really a game of strategy. In just how many people I can put down as quickly as possible to get to the bases and do as much damage.
Yeah, maybe you like the new one better. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, this is...
When do you think you'll play Rebirth, Joe? If you had to guess a year, you think you'll play it. I'm guessing not this year.
Well, here's the thing. Like, the game has kind of like lost its luster for me now.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's not new and fresh anymore. So, like...
And you have a few years till the next one would come out, and it's a huge game.
This is I kind of want to take my time with it because I got to be honest, playing Remake on stream burnt me out, dude. Yeah, like I was just this is a very long narrative. It felt long, like it really did feel like a journey.
And that's only 1/3 of the game that Rebirth is.
I was so tired. Like by the end of it, I was knackered. And I didn't help myself because I literally played I played the last like 2 to 3 hours at like 2 and 3 in the morning or something. I think it was like 4 a.m. by the time I finished, and I had to get up for work. So, yeah, dude, I'll probably play it. I'll definitely complete it and play it in the next year. I think so. Okay. Like definitely by 2025, the end of 2025. Oh God, that's scary.
Do you think? Okay, so on a personal scale, not objective, because I know where you'd be on objective more, but like personal scale, how much do you like Final Fantasy VII Remake, and how much compared to Horizon Zero Dawn? Like on a personal scale.
Oh, Final Fantasy VII Remake is leaps and bounds better than Horizon Zero Dawn. Like not even in the same ballpark, bro.
1 to 10.
Bro. There was genuine like absolute awe at the design of like. Here's the thing, like I have this. It's really weird because the ending has offset so much about Final Fantasy. Yeah. Like people like. When I talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake, like the most impactful part to me, obviously, is always going to be the ending, like it is to many people. So I always talk about that because I think because everything else up until that point was really high quality to me. By the time I hit that ending, it was like, bro, I can't. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like it just dragged the whole situation down. So, but what I experienced before, like, I just loved Area Section in Sector 9, Sector 11,
Sector 8?
Sector 8. I don't know. Yeah. That whole sector, that whole segment is amazing. And the craziest thing is I went back and looked at like best chapters ranked on like I think GameRant do those articles, right? And it was like, that was one of the low ones. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, oh, just because it slows down, you're bored. Like, oh.
I wonder what you'll like whenever you decide to start playing that game. You should like at least go on YouTube and rewatch the ending of Remake that you didn't like, because it's so crazy how even though the Remake's ending goes off the rails, Rebirth starts up normally as like the original game would. It's almost like all that hijinks that happened at the end of Remake didn't need to be there. You know,
Weird.
Yeah, it's like they did it to get people's like interest for the next title.
Yeah,
but then the next title just kind of does what you expect.
It was a hook, right? Like,
it's kind of, and they've done that. They've kind of done that again with Rebirth, and I don't know, I'm a little concerned because even though the game's amazing, like the sales for Rebirth have been way lower. So
lower than Remake.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But it's on a PS5. There's no PS4 version. It's a sequel. It's not an original. You know. So
yeah,
we'll
100%.
It's not on PC yet, which it will be. But
yeah.
This next article, Joe, you'll have a lot to say about this one. Sony Santa Monica is making its first new IP in over 20 years. God of War Studios' Sony Santa Monica is developing its new first IP in over 20 years, as spotted by a member of Resetera. A developer at Sony Santa Monica mentioned they've been working at the studio, quote, looking after the entire character development pipeline on their new IP. In the About section of their LinkedIn profile, a developer supervising character development said they were thrilled to be back at Santa Monica after a brief departure to work at Striking Distance and Unknown Worlds. Sony Santa Monica Studios presented the opportunity of coming back as character supervisor, looking after the entire character development pipeline on their new IP. So here I am, thrilled to be back, working again with the crew and pushing characters and video games together, the developer said. So that wasn't supposed to be there. It's now that LinkedIn is gone now for that. Was supposed to be there. But something interesting to tie into that is this was, I think, about a year ago now, or a while back ago. Maybe it wasn't even a year ago. Maybe it was this year. I can't remember. But there was a trademark from Sony Santa Monica, which
Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet.
Yes, which we're all hoping is not the official title of their new game. But it seems
way.
that it might be a space-related game. Joe, are you excited? What do you think this will be? Do you want more God of War instead?
Well, here's the thing. So some people think this is the once cancelled and shelved Dark Side project that Sony Santa Monica was working on between Ascension and God of War. Well, not between God of War 2018, because obviously 2018, Corey came in and was basically like, no, we're not doing that because that's not working out. We're doing God of War 2018. We're going to rebuild everything. Like, this tree is going to be representative of us cutting down the past and rebuilding it and, you know, burning it in many ways and stuff. So, yeah. I don't know necessarily if it is going to be Dark Side, because that looked more like a dark sci-fi setting, as opposed to like what the working IP trademark of Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, which sounds more like high sci-fi in many ways, like very, very like Starfield-y in many ways, or Star Wars-y or whatever. But yeah, or Halo-y. This is cool. This is cool. I've been asking for this for so many years. Sony Santa Monica have been on the grind making God of War since what? 2004 was it? 2004?
20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 20 years. So 2004 was when God of War originally came out under David Jaffe and stuff. And holy shit, do they need a break, bro? Like, just relax with Kratos. Like, he's done, guys. Like, seriously.
But even you can understand why they went back to the well, because their studio was in danger.
Yes, yeah. If your studio's in danger, I totally understand the situation they were in. But at the same time, you are so comfortable now. You have sold dozens of millions of copies of God of War 2018, God of War Ragnarok. You know, the Valhalla DLC was awesome. You're in everyone's good graces. You are one of the best developers in the industry right now, bar none, alongside FromSoft, Naughty Dog, etc., etc. Guys, please do not repeat the past with Ascension. Move on. Make something unique. Make something cool. Let those creative juices flourish. Step away from something when there is still a little bit of fuel left in the tank. In this case, God of War and Kratos. His ending was perfect. Leave it as it is. Everyone is happy. I'm very, very, very excited for this. If it's Darkside revitalized under a different name, that'd be cool. If not, if it's just a completely new IP, which it most likely probably is, because here's the thing. I don't think they will want to bring back Darkside just simply because is it Dark Side or Dark Side? I can't remember what it was called. I think it's Dark Side. Who knows? I think they don't want to bring that back because it's probably wrought with tainted past, a tainted history. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're probably going to be starting brand new. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be a third-person narrative-driven game in space? I mean, what do you think it'll be?
I mean, it has to be, right? Like it has to be
using what they've learned from God of War 2018.
Using what they've learned, maybe very similar in the sense that it's probably open region. There's probably more emphasis on open world, given that it is space, just because it allows you to play with open areas and expanses much more. I don't think you can expect anything like Starfield.
Imagine if you could leave space and land your ship on a planet in Santa Monica's game. Oh my gosh! I would never let Bethesda hear the end of it.
Yeah, it is. I just looked it up. It is Dark Side that I was referring to. I don't know why I got it in my head that it was Dark Star, but yeah, either way. So yeah, dude, like just do it all, bro. Like I'm here for it. You know, space is such a space to me as a genre is such a fascinating setting or genre, if you would even call it that, depending on what archetypes you have in each medium, but. Because it's on the level of like Superman to me, in terms of setting and genre and style. In that it's very hard to make a game in that setting, just simply because of the vast expanse that you have to emulate on a limited amount of hardware. We're not there yet, and I don't know necessarily if we ever will be.
Like Mass Effect pulled it off, and really, what Mass Effect was really just a collection of levels, but it doesn't feel like it ever.
But it doesn't. It's not like space. Like if you said to someone, "What is a space game?" To like say a non-gamer, right, who's watched movies, read prose, read books, etc., etc., and you said to them, and they've never played a game in their life because they don't. So you're taking like preconceived bias out of this occasion when it comes to what already space games they've experienced, right, and seen. They have no clue what gaming is, and you said, right, games are this, games are that. You explain what gaming is. They're on that. They're on the same page, and you say to them, "What is a space game?" I bet you any money, the main thing they'll say to you is, "Okay, well, things I think of a space game is like infinite exploration. You're in your spaceship, you're landing on planets, you're finding aliens. There's no limitation." It's like, yeah, that's probably a space game. That is what the final form of a space game is. Infinite exploration. And while No Man's Sky gets that right, the thing that No Man's Sky doesn't necessarily get perfect is like the minutiae and the intricacies of something like a Starfield or something like that, right? So, yeah, I think they have a amazing like foundation for this simply because they are monetarily well within the black, operating very, very safely. They have the goodwill of everyone on Sony behind them. All the fans, obviously, Herman Hulst is close with Sony Santa Monica, just like he is with other studios, even like Kojima Productions. This is the perfect time now for them to expand and make a game that is potentially, it will be on the PlayStation 6. Start out strong after this transitionary period, and really show.
It'll be a cross-gen game though. Yeah.
Well, I hope not.
It has to be. For a new IP and them to sell well enough, it's gonna have to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think you are right, but I really don't. But
really, a cross-gen PS5 game will probably seem pretty good to us because we're so used to cross-gen PS4. I don't know.
In many ways, we're working still within the constraints of what a PS4 is. We just get all the bells and whistles of a PS5, unless it's like a Demon's Souls or something like that, or a Spider-Man 2, I guess. But I'm just excited, dude. I'm just really excited for this. It's time. It's time for them to move on. Time for them to flourish creatively even more so than they have been, and show us that they're not just a God of War studio.
How pissed would you be if this was a Kinetica 2 from the game they made before God of War, the racing game? Like, no, you're like, you guys can't leave your old IP alone.
We're over that, Brian. Well, I hope we're over that. Like, oh, let's bring fucking like Ridge Racer back and fucking Wipeout as well while we're at it. Fuck me, like.
You find out that the next game at Sony Santa Monica is being led by David Jaffe again. You're like, what in the world?
I don't want him touching games again. I got to be honest.
Like, he did different kind of games.
He did different kind of games, but like that, like I love him. Right, he's great. Like he's cool. He's funny. He's dope. I listen to him a lot on Sacred Symbols. Sometimes I'll even tune into his own like podcasting and stuff. But I got to be honest, like I think his form of game development and his ways of design and stuff, it's dead, dude. It's 6th generation, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. He had his time. He achieved more than I could ever have done in game design.
He created one of your favorite franchises of all time.
Exactly, one of my favorite protagonists of all time, and I'll always be like thankful and appreciative of that. So yeah, dude, I just don't like. I mean, he came out earlier and said the God of War in 2018 and Ragnarok is not a good Kratos, is not a good character, basically. And I was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, he was actually recently asked on a Sacred Symbols thing, like literally within like last week or two, about that again, and he was a little kinder about it. But he basically said that the 2018 and Ragnarok, he has nothing. He doesn't have any feelings towards them. He has no feeling towards them. Is what he said.
I can totally here's the thing. I can totally see it. Not to get on a diatribe here or a tangent, but I can totally see why he feels like that, because in many ways, and I've heard this. This is a very minor opinion in the minority here, but you will often find people that say like, "Oh, they just make Kratos soft. Oh, they make Kratos like every other protagonist in Sony first party. That like broken down, emotional, more emotional character that is going through some form of like redemption arc or whatever. They jolt him in many ways, and I totally see it. I understand. So like from a creative stance, like, he gets more leg to stand on even than the people that criticize it online, because he's the creator,
Yeah.
So yeah,
about as close as you can get. So
yeah.
Last story is Bloober Team asks for a chance with Silent Hill 2. I thought this was kind of strange. I'm interested to hear what you have to say, Joe.
Yeah.
The company's CEO and creative lead, I have no idea how to say his name, Piotr Babino, tells Rolling Stone. Piotr. He's heard the criticism, and he's acquainted with the trouble it takes to reimagine a game fans say is untouchable. Internally, we are calling this Bloober Team 3.0, he says. I believe that Bloober today is a completely different team than 3 years ago. He notes that when Bloober Team began working on Layers of Fear, the game that helped establish them as a studio, its team was made up of around 10 people, and 2024, Bloober has over 250 people on its staff. He knows that people have been scrutinizing every trailer, rumor, and move that Bloober Team makes on Silent Hill 2. He says, let's see, moving forward here. He says, I'm dreaming that gamers will trust us, Babino says, but I realize that trust is earned through actions, not through words. So that's why we have a policy of not commenting on the specifics of the game and raising hopes. We want to show our ambitions through our work, so we can't ask for anything more than give us a chance. So Silent Hill 2 Remake has been criticized for the majority of its time being out there for it looking not that great or not that interesting, not looking that ambitious graphically. Will it live up to the original game's pedigree? And, he's talking about what Bloober Team used to be and what he believes they are now. And, give us a chance. But then he also says, like, I understand it's actions, not words. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, it is. But, like, this seems to me very clear a call for words to speak for your game, because you don't feel that the trailers have spoken for it the way you want it to. And I think that for me, the TLDR, the too long didn't read to this, is just the trailers haven't been the most promising thing in the world. The game's going to come out. He really needs it to be a success. And he's doing a little bit of PR here to get more people through the door using his words. But he's like, I understand it's not words, it's actions.
Yeah.
But like you're kind of doing the opposite here. And it really is going to be the actions of how the game ends up turning out as to the success of it. And I hope it's great. If it actually reviews really well, even though I'm not a Silent Hill fan, I will pick it up if it reviews really well. But for me, like reading the tea leaves on what we've seen of this games over the year, over the years is, I think it's going to come out to a very like 7, kind of like, they did a decent job. It's not bad, but it's not really the remake we've always wanted. It's no Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah.
And, it leaves something to be desired, and that's what it is. And it sells, it underperforms, and people are upset by it. I don't want that to happen. I hope it's great, but I don't know. This feels like a little bit of PR control, trying to guide the room a little bit, because what they've shown hasn't been as jaw-dropping as they might have hoped. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, there's a phrase that as soon as you say "but," everything that came before it is basically you go back on it. And while it's not so cut and dry as that, I understand, because we always say "but." I mean, everyone in the world always qualifies with a "but." But yeah, I think there's something to be said about that phrase in this situation. You can't, especially from a PR standpoint, where every word matters, and it has to be punchy and it has to be straight to the point, and you have to be consolidated in what you're saying because it leaves lasting impressions, like you've just shared. And I think it's one of those things where like maybe silence would have been better than it just saying this. You didn't. Like, it kind of sounds like a pity party. Like, oh yeah, we fucked up with the medium. It wasn't that great. Layers of Fear didn't really have. I think it was Layers of Fear 1, which was it like didn't have like any stakes to the gameplay. So even if you died, you just kind of respawned or whatever. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal to lose. Like, I mean, you play Resident Evil 2 or any Resident Evil game or any survival horror, Dead Space or whatever, you always kind of feel like, oh no, like I'm gonna die here. Like that's the tension, right? Like, or Outlast, prime example. Get in this locker and hide. He's coming, Pigman. It's weird. It sounds like a pity party in many ways. Was Bloober Team also the one that made the what's it? Yeah, Blair Witch game, the Blair Witch game on Game Pass or whatever.
Yeah. Well, since this was announced, the common sentiment from everyone has been, it's not that Bloober Team is bad, it's that they don't seem to have the pedigree to be able to handle a project like this. Look at some of the best remakes ever: Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah,
those are being done by the primary teams, like the main people behind those franchises. Bloober to handle a classic like this, like that's just, this isn't Blue Point or anything like that. So it's can they pull it off? And you can even see him here trying to position it as like, oh, we're Bloober Team 3.0. We're not the same team. We've got all these people on staff. Like, this game, 250 people on staff. Like, this game's going to need to pop for them to continue going forward. And I feel like, I mean, I'm pulling these numbers out of my ass, but I feel like this is the kind of game that the studio is expecting to sell at least 5 million copies of.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a guarantee, though. Like, I don't know that Silent Hill is a popular enough IP. It's relevant enough. Like, if this game isn't amazing, like, is it going to be able to get those kind of numbers? So.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, the original Silent Hill was only, like, around a milli, right? Or, I mean, I think in total the franchise shipped, like, just under 10 million. So it was never, like, a monumentally massive franchise in many ways. Because there's so many games of Silent Hill. I mean, the Silent Hill, there's something called a play novel Silent Hill. There's Silent Hill 2, which is the highest selling, I think. Silent Hill 3, Silent Hill 4... Silent Hill Origins, Silent Hill Homecoming, Silent Hill Shattered Memories, Silent Hill Orphan 3. Like, it just goes on.
They released
and on
a free
and
one
on.
Earlier this year.
Yes, I played that. I played that
last year. It did incredibly well, but it was free. Like, it was downloaded by a bajillion people.
It was really weird because, like, artistically, it did feel like a Silent Hill game. It did feel like a like there was towards the end of the game, you start to see like. Sort of like, where it all goes red and you've gone into like that sort of like other world sort of thing. You've gone into Silent Hill, like it had that elements of it, but it was this weird kind of like FMV kind of job, or not even FMV. It like had people acting, like the woman who would guide you through, the girl, she was a real person, and it was clearly dubbed and stuff because it was
lower budget,
100%.
I mean, that's what they did in the original Hellblade, and it was awesome. It's actually cool there.
Yeah, 100%. But it was all right. It was not bad. But if I would have to pay for it, I'd have been probably disappointed in it because it was only like a 2-hour thing or whatever. I don't know.
At that point, it's like just give it for free and get the good notoriety.
Yeah,
but the thing is, those people who reviewed it said it was bad. So,
I mean, not a lot. It's because there's not a lot going on in it. That's why you're wandering around, you're picking up pieces of paper, and then running from one enemy nearer the end. Like that's kind of the entirety of the game. And it's just not very enthralling. There's nothing new going on. It's basically a shit Outlast. But yeah, this is weird. This is very strange. Obviously, they had that weird thing with Konami where like Konami doctored their trailer or whatever, or they guided their trailer too much, and the announcement trailer, and it was really bad, and it was too much focused on action. And then the second trailer, I can't remember exactly what it was titled, but that one was much better.
But still wasn't blowing our socks off. It was
still not blowing our socks off. And I think the reason is because Silent Hill 2, the budget has clearly, it's not on the level of a Resident Evil 2. And I don't expect it to be. But at the end of the day, like we've had a Resident Evil 2, we've had a Resident Evil 4. These are games that were in many ways your contemporaries. And we're going to look at them both respectively and, comparing each other. And I think the problem is because they're coming out after these amazing remakes by Capcom, the bar is so high.
Look, Dead Space couldn't even pull it off, and they were a much better studio.
Yes, Dead Space Remake was so fucking good, and it still wasn't as good as Resident Evil 4 to the majority of people.
And it didn't sell. It just didn't sell well.
Yeah.
So, like, what does that say about Silent Hill 2? I think Dead Space is... Actually, I don't know. Is Dead Space a more well-known IP? It feels like it to me. But then again, Silent Hill had a movie and stuff like that. But
I would still say Dead Space in the gaming sphere is way more popular than Silent Hill.
Yeah.
I just think that first one is so revered. I really do. So, yeah, this is very strange. I really want them to do well because I love Silent Hill 2. It's on my top 50 games of all time. It's a brilliant game.
If it's got like high 80s Metacritic, I could see myself buying it.
Yeah.
But if this comes out like a 79 Metacritic, I'm like, nah, I'm not even a fan of the series, so, I won't bother.
I don't know. Like, here's the thing. I like Corey is really high. Corey from the Discord, like, he's really high up on Silent Hill, more than me. Like, he's a way, way bigger fan than me, and knows more about it. And, like, I feel like he's going to buy it because he likes the look of it, obviously. And I don't know. Like, I don't know how much I'm going to need it. Like, this is the thing with the trailers so far. They're not really giving me a reason to need this game. Like, I'm kind of happy with where I've been with Silent Hill. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
it doesn't feel like they're like the publisher, Konami. It doesn't feel like they're fully committed to the franchise.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like, oh, we're making a Silent Hill 2 remake, guys.
Like, we picked the one thing in this franchise we think we could get some money out of.
Yes.
We picked a developer that'll be cheaper. We didn't give them as big a budget as they would like to have.
Yes.
Go make us money.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Like, no part of me believes we're going to get like an onslaught of new Silent Hill games now,
Konami just need to shape up.
Or just sell their IP and then roll in the money and leave,
It just won't, though, because like they know that they can bank on their IPs if shit goes wrong. Like with their pachinko and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's the simple. That's the matter. That's why they won't sell it to like Sony. Imagine if Sony got Silent Hill and Metal Gear.
Be amazing.
Be fire, bro. It would be fire.
But at least let them get Metal Gear. If Xbox has to get Silent Hill, at least let Sony get.
Bro, I will let Xbox have Silent Hill. Just take it. I don't care. I don't want them having Metal Gear. I gotta be honest, because not to go too much of a tangent here about Xbox, but. They have to me, in my opinion, they have a serious issue with over-franchisation. They can't stop. They keep dragging Master Chief, the big green jelly bean, out from his cryo chamber and being like, one more fight. Finish the fight. It's like, bro,
actually, you know what? Picture. No, it's not equal because it's definitely not equal because the sales are much different. But picture Sony Santa Monica's Ascension moment. Microsoft has done their Ascension moment 3 times with Halo in a row. 3 times. Now, like I said, it's not equal because like Halo 4 and Halo 5 were massive sellers.
Yes.
Oddly enough, I think most people agree Halo Infinite's kind of the best one, and it's the one that sold the worst because it's at Xbox's lowest point for a Halo title, and it's free to play if you don't play the campaign, and it's on PC. So Halo 4 and 5 sold a lot better than Ascension, but it really it's just like as far as the franchise goes, it's like Microsoft has done God of War's Ascension moment 3 times in a row, and they show no signs of stopping.
Well, maybe they have now. This is a PlayStation podcast.
The rumor is there's several Halo projects in the works, and at least one of them is coming to PlayStation. That's the heavy rumor. So,
but why? Yeah, why do that? Why not just have one studio that you can make it third party if you really want to? If you're not confident in people buying it on your platform, like I totally get it, but. Why make it so that like everyone's making a Halo game at once? But just make one. Little wins, guys.
Well, but they made one 3 times in a row and it didn't work out. So, and also the rumor is also that 343 is not the developer for anything. So
Jesus.
they're just there as like the what do you call it? Not support studio, but the studio that like everything passes through and it gets approved by. Like that's
whoa, hang on. So they are passing through. Let me get this straight, bro. Hang on, slow down.
That's the rumor.
I know what you're gonna say. I know you know what I'm gonna say. They are passing through for quality control.
When they're the ones that had the problem with the quality
to the
control.
people that caused the problem.
Yeah.
Even though obviously it's kind of like it's questionable.
But you want to make sure that the didact continuity is correct.
Fuck me. Can you just fuck off? Anyway.
Yeah. No, we'll skip past that. But that's it for our news stories. Joe, let's spin things around a little bit. Let's do our special topic before what we've been playing, so we can, because I feel like we can go long on special topic, and I feel better about cutting down what we've been playing if we have to. But special topic for today is our game of the year for every year for the last 10 years that's been playable on a PlayStation console. So it doesn't have to be a PlayStation exclusive. Just has to be playable on a PlayStation console. So we'll start with 2014 and bring ourselves all the way up to 2024. I understand 2024 is not over yet, but we'll give what our game of the year so far is. Not really too many rules. It just has to be on PlayStation. We're going to go with our game of the year for that year, regardless of whether we played it that year or not. So for instance, I already know my game of the year for 2017. I didn't play till recently. So little spoiler there for you. But Joe, you start us off 2014 game of the year.
Weak year, for one. That's what I will start on.
2014 was dog shit.
So here's the thing. For like AAA releases, it was really weak. But I think there's a lot of good indie and AA games in there. But I mean, you have like Far Cry 4, Shadow of Mordor, Dragon Age Inquisition, Dark Souls 2. But I gotta say, my game of the year 2014, Alien Isolation.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna pick that one. Yeah,
one of the
great game.
One of my
underrated
as fuck. One of my favorite games of all time.
IGN 5.9. Fuck you, 5.9 out of 10 from IGN.
How dare Ryan say that about my boy?
Also, this is the same Ryan McCaffrey that gave Halo 4 a 9.8 out of 10.
Oh, brother, what are you doing?
He smoked a lot of crack in 2012 and 2014.
Has he ever spoken on that ever since?
I haven't heard him speak on Alien Isolation again, but I have seen him years later saying that he completely stands by his 9.8 for Halo 4.
9.8 is wild, bro, for that game.
Halo 4, bro. That's the highest rated Halo on IGN, I believe.
Bro, that's like higher than like Ocarina and shit. Like,
yeah. And you know what? For any of you that know Halo well enough, I know we're PlayStation podcast here, but there's a popular Halo content creator that we had on our old podcast, Sacred Icon, a lot, Haruspis.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote blogs, got very popular. He now works at 343. If you go to the Halo website, you'll see that most of the articles are written by him.
Mm-hmm.
He was on our show. We've talked to him many times. His favorite game of all time is Halo 4.
And didn't he start off hating it?
No, he loved it from the beginning.
Oh, I thought I read. Oh, maybe I'm just.
Maybe you're thinking of Halo 5 or something.
Maybe.
But his favorite game of all time was Halo 4. And he said on our podcast that objectively, Halo 4 is like an 8 out of 10. That 9.8 was wild. So,
it's wild, dude. Like,
when you have like the world's biggest Halo 4 fan saying that, come on, Ryan McCaffrey.
Yeah,
the thing is, journalistic integrity, right? You're probably never going to say, especially while you're still working at the same company, I was wrong about, because you weren't just a little bit wrong. You were like way wrong given Halo 4.
It's weird, right? Because like, you should stand by your score, but like journalistic integrity in many ways is like also going back on your word and being honest.
Yeah, like it clearly wasn't that.
But I understand why.
But Alien Isolation, 5.9 from IGN.
Wild, dude. This game to me is like a 9 out of 10. I absolutely adore it. Like the only point I can knock it down, in all honesty, is like it's kind of long.
It's too long. Yes,
it's
that's
too
my
long.
Problem.
But
I feel like it has technical issues too.
Never experienced them.
Like the cut. Okay, I've booted up the game several times since it came out, even in the last couple years, and the cutscenes feel like they're like janky or running at an inconsistent frame rate. Maybe that's not like that on PC.
Maybe. But I've mainly played Alien Isolation on PC. But obviously you can play it on PlayStation. Dude, I just love it. I think the fact that this came from Creative Assembly, which is first and foremost a real-time strategy game developer that does the Total War series, which are phenomenal games, and they were able to do what no other studio has ever done with Alien and make an absolutely phenomenal modern day Alien experience is wild. And it's just a beautiful game.
Here's what I'll say. I think objectively as a game, this might kill you, I think it's a 7.
Right.
Objectively.
Yeah.
But if the score metrics are a dream Alien game, this is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, 100%.
This is better than you could ever hope for. I mean, for those of you that don't know, it's it's in the spirit of the original Alien movie,
Yep.
but it
Yep.
takes place after it, between Alien and Aliens, and you
Yeah.
play as Ellen Ripley's daughter.
Yep.
And it just completely gets. They literally took all the assets from the original movie. They were given those to work with. It's all properly recreated.
So
There's
good.
even a couple little DLCs for the game where you get to replay moments from the original Alien movie with the original voice actors coming back to do the dialogue.
They're really good.
It's so as far as like, if you're a fan of Alien and you want to play a game based on it, it's a dream Alien game. It's a 10 out of 10. But as a game overall, I think it's
I get it.
It's padded. It's not technically the most up to snuff. It can be a little repetitive for how long it is. It's not as varied as you might like. I think it's a 7. I could see an 8, but I feel more comfortable with the 7. But 5.9, I mean, 5.9, I'm like, I don't even know how you arrive at that score, but like, to me, that's like.
So here's the thing.
I don't know.
This game, in many ways, like, it came out around that point where everything was a runny away horror game, Outlast, Amnesia, stuff like that.
True.
And that was like it really going like crazy that like in the well with that kind of genre. And PewDiePie was like doing all his playthroughs of it and everything, and everyone was loving it and shit like that. And I think Alien Isolation, in many ways, maybe even to like Ryan McCaffrey's like view at the time, it was like, oh fuck, another one just with an alien skin, really. And he's not wrong to think that. Like you said, I do agree that there's nothing really mind-blowing about this game from a design standpoint necessarily, or like a gameplay standpoint. It's just that the way this game, like I said, I'm a huge Alien 1 fan. Alien 1 is the best Alien movie. It's not Aliens, guys. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Like, Alien 1 is the best. I would say one of like probably
it's
arguably the best
movie.
Ridley Scott film as well, like alongside Blade Runner and Gladiator. Like, it's got to be, right? Like,
I feel like it's in the top 100 movies of all time.
Yeah, it has to be. And it's aged really well. It's absolutely phenomenal. And this game is a love letter to that movie. It really is. And even Aliens, of course, by extension. But yeah, dude, absolutely phenomenal. And one thing I love about this game is it dares to take away the alien like 3/4 way through the game. You blow out the airlock, like every alien dies in many ways. Or dies, they can survive outside, so it's just going to another station eventually, hundreds of years down the line. Yeah, and then it takes away the alien for ages. There's like nothing going on. You just kind of like repairing the station, getting it all back to, back and running. And then like you fall into a fucking hive at the end of the game. And it's like, holy shit. And then there's like fucking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them all running after you. And you're like, fuck. And that moment is crazy good.
It also takes time to do like android stuff.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Avoiding the androids. And when the androids attack you, it's creepy because they're just like walking up to you and they're just like, it's just
you
really
always know a working Joe. Like, oh, it's so
I don't know if they ever said this, but like in my brain, I can remember being like in a dark room, like hiding behind a locker and like the android like turning to me and being like, I can see you. And be
yes.
Like, oh, I'm scared.
Yeah,
this is scary.
I think, can they hear you through the microphone or something? Like, I can't remember exactly.
Oh, if you have
what
a Connect or something.
Yeah. Oh no, that's it. It's not. I don't know necessarily if they can hear you through the microphone, but what they can do is they can hear the beep on the motion sensor, like the alien can hear that and stuff.
Yeah, if you
pull so you have to kind of like lean back and shit in the lot. Oh, it's so good. Like,
it's really good.
Yeah.
Great pick. Like Joe said, 2014 was a really weak year. Now, the pro to my choice, Wesley, you're going to love this. I would pick Dragon Age Inquisition as my game of the year for 2014. Inquisition is a good game. I feel like it's the closest BioWare's got to a comeback since Mass Effect trilogy.
Okay. Yeah.
Still not there, but the closest. Really fun game. A really fun game with great characters, good story. I enjoy it. I've replayed it since it came out and had a great time. But I feel that Dragon Age Inquisition only won Game of the Year that year because the year was so weak. Because it's really not, to me, it's not really Game of the Year quality.
Yeah.
But it was just such a weak year. I mean, its competitors were, because like Alien Isolation wasn't up for Game of the Year. So its competitors were like Shadow of Mordor, was it Dark Souls?
Dark Souls 2, yeah.
2.
Wolfenstein, maybe, I think.
Maybe. So like it didn't have strong competition. It came in at the end of the year, so it was fresh. It's a big RPG. BioWare's popular. They just kind of won it by default.
Yeah, here you go. You had sorry to interrupt. You have Dark Souls 2, Inquisition, Shadow of Mordor, Hearthstone, and Bayonetta 2.
Yeah, I see. Like the competition wasn't that strong, so it earned it fairly, but it earned it when the competition was weak.
Yep.
So, but still a game I really enjoy. I'm excited for Veilguard this year, so I'd go with Inquisition.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%.
Over to you, Joe. 2015. If you didn't pick what I know you're going to pick, I'd be like, what is wrong with you? What have you done with Joe?
I'm an android. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Beautiful.
Has to be. Like, it's just
one of the greatest games ever made.
The game, in my opinion, that set the downfall of what people look at Bethesda like. I think it was the game that was the come to Jesus
Fallout 4
moment.
came later that year, and everyone was like, this is just nowhere near up to snuff with the game I already played.
Yep. No one really knew much about CD Projekt Red at the time. They were very much a AA studio from Poland, very famed for Eurojank. The Witcher 3 obviously launched with technical issues like aplenty, like pretty much every CD Projekt Red game has ever done, period, especially on PC. But what it made up for was one of the most mind-blowingly incredible narratives with characters to boot that to this day hold on the level of an Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2, a John Marston, a Kratos, a Joel from The Last of Us, previously. Like, this game is fire. The gameplay is probably the weakest part of the game, but in all honesty, like, it serves its purpose. And in my opinion, I think people are a little bit too harsh on it.
I'll agree with you because, not to interrupt, well, I mean, it's funny how we say not to interrupt you, but that's exactly what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
I did a Witcher 3 replay. It's getting close to a year ago now. And before I replayed it, one of the things I said to Joe in our Discord was, the combat's kind of weak. And Joe just said, like, it's what was the term you just used? It's not overhated, but it's maybe overhated. I
overhated.
Guess.
I don't know.
I think you said something different, better. I don't know. Anyways, when I replayed Witcher 3, I was like, this combat's pretty decent. Like, it's pretty, like, it's not, it's no Elden Ring.
No.
But it's like good. Like, it's legitimately fun. So I think it's people, I think it's because when that game came out, so much of it was the best we'd ever seen in its genre.
Yeah. And
so
the gameplay.
The combat stood out as like, it's kind of like what I say about Last of Us. I think I said this on an episode or two ago.
Yeah.
It's like people play Last of Us and they're like, oh, well, the combat's not good. It's like, no. Actually, the combat is really good in Last of Us. It's just that it's not in a game that potentially has the greatest narrative you've ever seen in gaming. It is not the greatest combat you've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with Witcher 3. It's like potentially the best RPG you've ever played, best open world you've ever seen, best written dialogue, best side quest ever.
Yeah.
Oh, the gameplay is good, but nothing special,
Yeah,
so.
And you know what I think it is? I think because it came out 2015, Fallout 4 was coming out. Up until that point, pretty much every fantasy game combat system in many ways, the benchmark was Skyrim. It was like, if it ain't Skyrim, we don't want it. Mm-hmm. And Skyrim is very lucid with how you move through the world. It's very seamless. Like the fighting is pretty fun. Like, it's not the most responsive, but Skyrim really upped the level of quality of like shield bashing and the feedback from Oblivion. And I think in many ways, like going to a third person viewpoint where it's kind of more hack and slashy and stuff, and not quite as well refined to an extent as something like a Dark Souls or whatever at the time, and all that. I think a lot of people just looked on it less fondly than what they could have. But yeah, this game alongside its DLCs, bro, like, so good. Did you play the DLCs on your replay?
Yep, I beat them both.
Okay,
yep,
and you liked Hearts of Stone more, right?
I liked Hearts of Stone more, but it's clear that there was a little more budget and time put into Blood and Wine.
But I mean, it's like a whole other game. Like, it's
wild.
I
think with Blood and Wine is like this amazingly perfect like finale for the game.
Yeah,
like it's like a come down in the best way. But I think what makes Hearts of Stone feels more like another big threat, another big episode in the series. Whereas Blood and Wine felt less like an episode to me and more like let's take a victory lap.
I think Hearts of Stone as well serves your kind of play style more as well.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's like got like a murder mystery vibe about it. In the sense that you're like
a little more linear.
You kind of straight and narrow. The areas you are in are very much places you've already been in the world.
But dude, the fairy tale shit I was doing in Blood and Wine blew my mind.
Yeah,
I was like, this is dope, dude.
Like a really nice spin on all the Hansel and Gretel shit and stuff. Yeah, dude, really good.
So it brings me great sadness that Witcher 3 is not my 2015 game of the year. It's
How
Bloodborne.
Dare you?
Bloodborne.
Well, yeah.
Okay, you were about to give me shit, and you're like, oh, he's gonna pick some dumbass Final Fantasy game or something. And he's like, oh, okay, Bloodborne. At least I understand. Bloodborne is to me one of like Witcher 3 is one of the greatest games ever made. It's one of the best RPGs ever made. I would give Witcher 3 a 10 out of 10. Bloodborne is also a 10 out of 10 to me, but Bloodborne to me just feels like purity boiled down to its most just straightforward, joyous experience, right? Like, I wouldn't want Witcher 3 to do anything differently. And this isn't a comparison game, really. But, like, Witcher 3 is purposely supposed to be this, like, open world, big game, lots of places to go, things to do, optional side content, a card game, dialogue choices. But Bloodborne just feels like this distilled experience that is perfect. It is so linear and straightforward and finely tuned and boiled down to its basics. It's just dripping with the most beautiful atmosphere. If your number one like franchise type thing in your life, your number one aesthetic was HP Lovecraft, this is literally the most god tier like usage of that type of thing. The way it's Lovecraftianism. It introduced so many people who weren't into Souls yet into the Souls franchise. It was more accessible. It mixed things up with being more offense based. You don't roll, you dodge. You don't have a shield. It was a PlayStation 4 exclusive. Just such a badass game, and it's infinitely replayable to me. I love it so much. It's not that far above Witcher 3, but it's just for me, and for me being more of a linear type gamer, it's also another reason why it gets the pick. But that's a tough year. I mean, I think I mean
2015 was a good year.
If we went and picked a bunch of like old videos and articles from publications out, I would guess that there was a lot of people sweating over the decision that year for what was game of the year 2015.
Yeah.
Not to mention, even though for me and Joe, it's clearly not up on the same level. You did have Arkham Knight. You did have Fallout 4. I mean, games that are legendary.
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah. Halo 5.
Don't really think that was up as a contender. But, it was there. It was in that year.
Hey, another underrated game. I won't go on about it, but Mad Max Fire game.
Oh, Mad Max. Yeah, a lot of people say that's underrated. For sure. Yeah. I think it's got that kind of Alien Isolation energy. Like, this is exactly what you want, and it's good, but it's underappreciated. So
100%.
2016, Joe, Game of the Year.
Stardew Valley.
Okay, it's still getting updates today. Big game.
Getting updates. Yeah, phenomenal game developed by one person, who basically quit his entire career and was like, I'm gonna make a game. Asked his girlfriend if she would support him, believe in him, trust him to make something phenomenal. And now he's a multi-millionaire.
Is he still with that girl? I sure hope so.
I think so. I don't know.
That'd be really shitty if after that story he's like a supermodel now. Yeah. Because I'm famous.
Dude. I always say it's just the better version of Harvest Moon. It's so heartfelt. It's so like touching to me as someone like, again, like I go hiking, I go mountaineering to detach from life. And it's lovely like to play a game that has that kind of similar vibe. It's not the same, but the guy in the game, like basically his granddad leaves the entire farm to him, right? Like his will. And he goes and he quits his job because he's getting sick of it, and he just goes be a farmer. He's like, fuck it. And that's the game. You just start on the farm and you just do crops. And
I'd probably enjoy it. I don't want to spend. I know I'll lose like dozens of hours on a game that it's not narrative based, really. But
it is though, dude. Like that's the cool thing about it. Like you're building the town up, like you're collecting items, you're talking with everyone, you're learning all about it. There's so many like.
Do you beat it? Do you ever beat it?
Yeah, you can beat it. Yeah, I've never personally beat it because it's very long.
You just keep playing, right?
You
can play forever if you want, right?
To me, like Stardew's kind of like Minecraft in the sense that like I always keep restarting my playthroughs over and over again. Absolutely phenomenal game. There's so many heartfelt moments in it. Like there's one part like that really gets me every time where like there's this homeless guy called Linus, right? Not Linus Tech Tips. He's got a beard. He's old, etc., etc. But he's like digging through someone's bin. It's like a little cutscene. You can have the choice to like kind of tell him off and call him like a piece of shit for rooting through people's trash, or like kind of be like, no, you know what? Like they didn't want it, so like you can you could do it. And every time I can't bring myself to calling him like a dirty old man. Like, you know, he's hungry. And there's just little things like that where it's like, this game is just beautiful because it's like, it's all about just like looking after people in this little town. And there's like themes of like big conglomerate corporations coming in with big Walmart kind of things. And it's like, you can either go that path, which is the evil path, but you can save money. So that's the incentive, right? Because it's low prices. But you can support the local business, the local mart, not the mart, the local shop, right? Called
this
Pierce
creator
Shop.
liked economics.
He loved economics, dude. He you can tell like just the way he developed it. He was like, he's a really heartfelt and like humanitarian individual in many ways, and I love that. His DNA is all in this game, and yeah, it's just a gorgeous game. It plays phenomenally well. There's very rarely bugs. People speedrun it like crazy and like have crazy like strategies for it, which just enhance the skill ceiling of it. It's great. It's a phenomenal game. One of the best indie games ever made.
I still hear about it all the time, and it's been what?
Yeah.
How many years? Is 28 years? So
me and Tony always talk about it. It's one of our favorite games.
Miss Tony. I message him every now and then.
Yeah.
For me, it's a complete opposite direction for my game of the year for 2016. It is Doom 2016, tearing people to shreds.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up with the original Dooms on PC,
Nice.
and Doom 3 came out, and I was one of the people that thought Doom 3 was awesome, even though Doom 3 is nothing like the original.
Good game.
It's a great horror game. But the sentiment around Doom prior to 2016 was that Doom 3 wasn't the right kind of game. It wasn't anything like Doom in spirit. And then id went off and did Rage, which most people didn't really care about. The game kind of flopped. And then there was an announcement for a new Doom. It was called Doom 4, and it looked and played like Call of Duty. You can go look up the trailer if you don't
seen
remember
that, actually.
Yeah, it's look up Doom 4, or probably just Doom 4 would work, or Reveal, or
I'll put Doom 4 cancelled.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks weird, dude.
It looks like Call of Duty with some edgy demons in it.
Weird.
And they canceled that and then went back to the drawing board for Doom.
Mm.
And then it was like, okay, well, they're probably not going to pull it off because people didn't like Doom 3. People didn't like Rage. This looks like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And then they show off Doom 2016. And even then, when they first showed it off, something looked a little... It was hard for me to get the vibe of like, okay, it seems like this is better than what they were doing, but like, I don't know if it'll actually be good. Comes out, gets stellar reviews. I play the game and I'm like, holy shit, this is the Doom of my childhood made in modern day.
Yeah.
And it had just the most badass soundtrack ever.
Mick
And
Golden.
awesome boss fights and shit. And I remember one of my biggest memories of Doom 2016 is hilarious. I bought my first house the summer that Doom 2016 came out. And I spent months painting my house and painting trim while listening to the Doom 2016 soundtrack. So
I'm surprised you didn't like splatter everywhere.
Oh, I was just softly painting while it's like it's crazy because like
tear until
every time that music's going so hard, I'm like, yeah, I'm painting this trim white, baby.
That's so sick.
Marshmallow white.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my game of the year 2016. For sure.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Doom 2016 is a phenomenal game. The new Dooms are one of the few games. Like, normally I'll have to watch someone play it or I'll have to watch a trailer or whatever.
Yeah.
But Doom 2016 and Eternal are games that I can look at a screenshot and go, I want to play that right now.
Yeah.
I never do it because like, I'm probably like at work or I'm like, or just now, like I felt it just now, like looking at a Google image. Like I'm doing a podcast or I'm out walking, but I see Doom and it's like, brother, give me the controller right now. I want to kick some ass. Like Doom makes me feel like that, dude. That new Doom is so good, and I can totally see why like people like Doom 2016 over Eternal. And this is one of the things I absolutely adore about id's new like reboot series because, you know, like a lot of games are so iterative, and obviously Eternal is iterative to Doom 2016 by and large. But one thing I love, the same thing with the Dark Ages that's coming out soon that I'm so fucking hyped for. I really want a release date for QuakeCon when it comes up, but bro, like. Everyone feels different, like, and I love that. Like Doom 2016 is very much like old Doom rebuilt, you know, rebooted. Eternal's like, right, you want the Slayer on crack, you can have the Slayer on crack, and I like that's my favorite of the two. But I love
that there's both though, because you can have both experiences.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Joe,
dude.
let's see here. I want to give people a little. I don't know which one's the best one to grab here, but I have literally the whole album on my phone here. Let's give people a little bit of a taste here.
You to play it?
Let's see here. Let me. You hear it okay?
Yeah.
Oh man, dude.
It goes hard, bro.
Soundtrack so
like it's one of the best soundtracks ever, in my opinion. Same with
BFG
the original.
Division.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit!
Oh shit!
I want to play right now, dude.
Yeah, bro.
Oh,
yeah, it's such a
so
cool ass
good.
game.
Bethesda mistreated that dude. Oh,
yeah, they did.
Doom 2016 is a great game in its own right, but if that's a 9 out of 10 game, it's immediately a 7 without the soundtrack.
Yeah,
immediately.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Awesome.
2017, Joe.
Yeah, so I was looking at 2017 and I was like, okay, what we got? So like, if you weren't picking PlayStation, obviously I'd pick Breath of the Wild.
That's what I would pick if we weren't doing PlayStation.
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, come on. Like, it was just so fucking good, right? Like, obviously Hellblade came out that year, the first Hellblade. Odyssey came out, but again, these are not PlayStation. I mean, obviously Hellblade is now, but you know.
Hellblade was PlayStation at launch, and then you said Odyssey, that was PlayStation at launch. Yeah.
What, Super Mario Odyssey?
Oh, I thought you meant Assassin's Creed. My bad.
No. Oh, definitely not picking that one, bro.
I was like, man, he likes Assassin's Creed that much, huh? Okay.
I made that very clear, right?
Yeah.
No, and then it was like, oh, Resident Evil 7, but I don't really love Resident Evil 7 that much. Like, it's good, but it's not my favorite. Horizon,
it's a tough year when you take Breath of the Wild out. Yeah.
Yeah, Horizon.
You're gonna say the same game as me, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not, because it's not gonna be Nier Automata, right? Automata. Yeah, it's not gonna be
Nier
that.
Automata's mine. Yeah.
I'm gonna say Hollow Knight.
Oh, great pick. Great pick.
Yeah. Just
how's that Silk Song? How's that Silk Song?
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, everyone always keeps talking about Silk Song. Everyone's upset. Who is it in the Discord that always talks about Silk Song? Is it Boba's Feet or is it someone else?
That sounds right. I don't know though.
Yeah, I don't know, but like, shout out to Boba's Feet if it is him. But yeah, dude. I am one of those people that I'm happy with what I got with Hollow Knight, and I don't really care about Silk Song. Like, I'll play it, but like, I'm just not like sitting on the edge of my chair.
I just hear about it every year.
So. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, a phenomenal roguelike, platform Metroidvania look like kind of game. Phenomenal combat. I love how it like incorporates like mantises and insects and that like dark and light. The art style is so simple yet so clean and so beautiful. The control scheme is as you would expect from any action platform 2D kind of game. It's just, I mean, 2017, admittedly, for me was a weak year. So if there was anything that, like, for PlayStation, this is like I said, like, so if obviously I could include Breath of the Wild, I would. If I could include even Mario Odyssey, I probably would because I really like that game.
And you liked Nier Automata.
But I like Nier Automata, yeah. But I think because Hollow Knight in my brain is so much more fresh, I feel like I'm giving it more due diligence than just giving Automata a bit more of a... Like, when I pick Nier Automata, even though like it's easily a 9 out of 10 from what I remember, I don't feel as confident giving it the game of the year just simply because I don't remember as much of that as Hollow Knight. So yeah, Hollow Knight, phenomenal game, one of the best platformers of all time, alongside, in my opinion, like Shovel Knight and stuff. And obviously classic Metroid games. So good. Just amazing.
Yeah, I've heard amazing things. I haven't played it myself. Yeah, for me, it's Nier Automata, which I just played a couple months ago, like Nier Automata has got like that energy of, it's not a game that brought the biggest marketing or the biggest budget, but it's got something so unique and so special. It just outshines. It punches way up for what it is. Like I just beat Ghost of Tsushima, and Ghost of Tsushima in many ways is a much better game than Nier Automata, but it's like Nier Automata has something so special to it specifically that it can still punch above its weight. And if somebody says they like Nier Automata way better than Ghost of Tsushima, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Because like, there's other games like Ghost of Tsushima. There's like kind of nothing like Nier Automata, really. It's just very special.
It's wholly unique.
And it's a game that like people still talk about today, like it's released recently, even though it's 7 years old. There's an anime series on it that's still going. I'm waiting to see what a eventual actual sequel or spiritual sequel to that game is. But Nier Automata for sure for me, which I'm glad I played that so I could say it for this list because I would say Breath of the Wild if we were not doing on PlayStation. But so 2018, Joe.
2018, in my opinion, one of the best years of gaming, period, especially if you're just talking about single-player games. I mean, you had, obviously, Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War 2018, Forza Horizon, which was really fucking good, Marvel Spider-Man Celeste, Into the Breach, so fucking good, Monster Hunter World. Tetris even had, like, a really good, like, spin-off spiritual successor in the sense of Tetris Effect. Return of the Obra Dinn, like, honestly, like, Hitman 2 came out. like aside from Fallout 76, this year was pretty fucking good, right? Like it was really, really good. But like I gotta say, like as much as I love Red Dead Redemption 2, like it broke me. I was grown man tears. There's a clip on my Twitch channel where I'm sobbing. Shout out to Darren over that one because it's one of our favorite games between us. It has to be God of War 2018, and when that game won Game of the Year, I was so fucking happy for Santa Monica.
I was shouting because I was like, they're gonna lose to Red Dead.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, like Red Dead was sweeping awards that year. Like it was just taking like best. I think it like took best music, best action, all these different things, right? Like it was just sweeping. And then God of War came in and was just like, no, we're having the Game of the Year. And I was like, you know what? Like Corey came in. Oh, so many people came back to Santa Monica Studio. The team rebuilt themselves basically from the ground up. They moved studio, which is all in the documentary. They did crazy on-site research for Scandinavia and all this for the setting. They redesigned a character, and they essentially rebuilt an entire franchise from the ground up, essentially, especially narratively. And to me, like that is worth way more than what Red Dead 2 does, where as much as Red Dead 2 is a refined piece of video game art where there's so much attention to detail, you know, there's animals of all different cycles, there's so much like amazing graphics, amazing lighting, you know, so much attention to detail, the clothing, the dirt on you, etc., etc. The acting is phenomenal. Like I think God of War just wins it simply because it had to rebuild this, not just the game, the entire studio, and for that they deserve the 2018 Game of the Year, no doubt. And anyone that says Red Dead was robbed, I don't agree in any way, because even though God of War is very similar to other Sony, like, you know, Sony games in its plethora, Last of Us, etc., what that team had to go through is leaps and bounds more impressive and a higher wall than what Red Dead had to do.
It just felt. Yeah, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
And this was all I'll end on is this was the nail to me. 2018 was the nail in the coffin for PlayStation as opposed to Microsoft and Xbox. This was the point when it was like, oh fuck yeah, like this is it now. Like this is the end of 8th generation Microsoft. And it was the same with the 2016 announcement trailer for this and Spider-Man and stuff. You know, at E3, it was like, holy fucking shit, when is this stopping? PlayStation on a roll right now. Yeah. And they had 2 games on the Game of the Year nominee list in Jeff's show that were like neck and neck pretty much alongside Red Dead 2. So yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if this is just something in my head or if it was felt by everyone, but it seemed like it was felt by everyone. But watching the Game Awards and having played those games, there was just this. It felt like there was just this sentiment in the air that there's something so special about God of War 2018. Not that there isn't something very special about Red Dead Redemption 2 as a high quality game that with a great narrative people love, but God of War 2018 just felt like something that went against all odds and and to my knowledge, and I may be forgetting something, but I don't know if we'd ever seen that move pulled off with a popular franchise ever in the history of gaming, where it was like, yo, we're bringing it back and we're essentially rebooting it in every sense of the word, except it is still a sequel to the original. Like it's like, this is a game that doesn't really play the same. It's not from the same perspective. Its focus is on the seriousness and the narrative.
Yeah.
There's a father-son, vibe, and it took, because like I feel like you could say, if somebody said God of War 1 or God of War 2 is one of the best games ever made,
yeah,
sure, I'm down with that. Fine. But like God of War 2018 said, couldn't we make that something so much more? And it did it successfully, to everyone's shock.
Yeah.
Because like I've said before many times on podcasts and other places, I've said like when Sony Santa Monica did their upteenth God of War and it failed in God of War Ascension, to me, announcing another God of War after Ascension felt like the dumbest, like smooth brain idea ever. Now I understand there's the concept of like, oh, we'll do what's familiar and has sales potential, but like Ascension had made it seem like the industry was ready for you to do something new. We were tired of it.
Yeah.
And instead of them like making something new, they essentially made something new from within the franchise. They're like, this is new in every way, except it is still God of War.
Yeah.
But it felt completely new all around. Like it felt
Yeah.
like a new IP almost in a sense, even though it wasn't. So yeah, God of War was super special.
Yeah,
And the only
I
reason
mean-
I'm going on about this because this is also my pick.
Oh, yeah,
2018.
there you go. Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, it surely has to be, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, the craziest thing to me about God of War 2018 was it was everyone, and I mean this, everyone in Sony Santa Monica putting everything on the table. Like
because if this didn't pop off, the studio would be done.
The Emperor had no clothes at this point, and it gets me emotional thinking about it because like I just like love that team for everything they've done, like just because of what they've made for me personally as a player, as a gamer. But like every time I think of God of War 2018 and them winning that Game of the Year award and stuff, and them all going up on the stage, and you see Sonny Suljic, who plays Atreus, you know, like hugging Christopher Judge, who plays Kratos, and everyone just like, and Sharon Sud still being there, and Yumi Yang, and all these people like just standing up on stage collectively, you know, to represent their entire, you know, 200 to 300 people studio. I always picture like the video of Cory Barlog like crying on release day, when he sees the scores. Like that's not just him being happy because a game's released. That is him realizing he can make another game. That is him realizing he has more career in Sony.
Mm-hmm.
That is him realizing that he brought so much love to this franchise beyond just God of War 2, and I don't think he worked on 3 if I remember correctly, but God of War 1 and 2, you know, and that's just mind-blowing to me. You know, like you see all that within that small thing where he just puts his glasses down and he's just broken, and it's just so moving because it's like that's the kind of shit I love in games, when you see the people behind finally feel like they've made something amazing for people, you know, like they get that recognition. And yeah, it's just a phenomenal title. It really is to boot. You know, it's got so much gravitas. It really does. Like everything about it is just like, this is, you can feel the power in everything that's going on in this game.
It's
like,
an all-time classic.
Yeah.
All-time classic. I'll make 2019 quick, Joe. This year doesn't have a lot for me. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, the remake of Crash Bandicoot Racing. My brother and I played this. My brothers, my dad, we all played this growing up on the original PlayStation 1. My favorite racing game of all time. It's in my top 50 games of all time.
Yep.
And they did a remake that, for the most part, was as faithful and as perfect as you could ever want. It was the same game, same mechanics, great graphics, modern day. They added new characters, new tracks.
Yeah.
Absolutely love this game. A story I love to tell people is that, you know, one of the most cringe things you can do, one of the most opposite of touch grass things you can do, is get married and ask your wife if you can bring video games on your honeymoon. That is one of the most. That's one of the most cringe things.
Not you, Brian.
I didn't do it. No, I didn't do it. That's what's so crazy.
Oh.
Is that right before we left for Florida for a honeymoon, the day after getting married, my newly married wife says to me, "Can we bring the PS4 with us so we can keep playing Crash Team Racing?" So we brought the PlayStation 4 and Crash Team Racing on our honeymoon, and we played it the whole honeymoon. And I can say that we did that, and there was no dropping hints. There was no me trying to sneak it in the car. Like, I'm telling you, all of you out there right now, if you're listening, if you don't know this, let me tell you, do not try to bring video games on your honeymoon.
No.
You're a freaking idiot. Why would you spend that special time in your life playing video games?
You'll regret it as well. It's not just about being in trouble. You'll regret it.
You'd also be like, why? Like, bro, this is like, I mean, essentially, hopefully, you know, you hope this is the one and only time you have a honeymoon. This is a special moment. You spend it together. Doing special things. You don't just keep playing video games. But of course, we were in Florida. We went out and did plenty of things. Went to the beach and went places. We would come back and play Crash Team Racing. So, great memories with that game throughout my whole life. So.
Yeah, it's a fire game. The best kart racer ever made, in my opinion. Don't care what anyone says. Yeah,
no, I love hearing that, man. I appreciate that. And I told Joe, I'm like, there's a good chance this would change. Like, I bought Death Stranding recently, but I haven't played it. Death Stranding came out this year. Good chance that could be my game of the year for that year. Sekiro came out in 2019. I do love that game, but I'm not able to beat it. I've never finished it, so it's kind of hard for me to get there right now. But so there's other good stuff there. But over to you, Joe.
Yeah, 2019. It's got to be Death Stranding, right? It's got to be.
It's at the very tippy top of your favorite games.
The tippity top alongside The Witcher 3 and God of War, dude. Like, phenomenal game. Basically delivering packages everywhere, but I love it so much. a phenomenal narrative that takes so much inspiration from, like, Evangelion. Is it Evangelion? Neon Genesis Evangelion. And just so fucking cool. Such amazing imagery and visuals. I have a special attachment to it just simply because it's like you climb a lot of mountains, dude. Like, I'm there when Sam is pushing those mountains. I'm there with him. Yeah, dude, it's such a cool game. I love it. The marketing, the rollout, everything just felt so fire, so interesting, so unique. And we only really knew what the hell was going on with the gameplay like 6 months before it came out. Maybe not even that, like 3 months.
Everyone was just like, "What is this game? Like, I want it. It looks cool, but I don't know what it is."
Yeah.
And then that's what Kojima was like, "It's a Strand game." You're like, "I don't know what it is."
It's like, what does that mean, Mr. Kojima? Yeah. So, but I mean, I've spoken on Death Stranding a lot, and we'll no doubt do a Critical Frames Plus episode once Brian finishes that.
Yeah.
To go over that. So I'll probably leave all the bits and the bobs for that. But yeah, Death Stranding 2019, phenomenal game.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna make this quick too, since kind of like you with Death Stranding talked about it a lot, and we also did an episode on this already. 2020 for me, game of the year unexpectedly was Final Fantasy VII Remake. Never played a Final Fantasy game in my life, let alone was looking to play the remake of one that I had never played. I've told the story before, so I won't really tell it again. But I played it; it blew my mind. It was during COVID. Me and my wife were home, and it immediately became one of my favorite franchises.
So not Ghost of Tsushima then?
Still no. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima is blowing my mind as well. But
Okay.
like that was an amazing year. I mean, you had Doom Eternal, you had Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, and I still pick Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is literally one of my favorite. This is like
Souls
top,
as well.
Demon Souls, yeah. But this is like top 5 for me games of all time. Love 7 Remake. Made me a hardcore 7 fan. Just phenomenal. One of the best gaming experiences of my life. So 2020 for you, Joe.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, dude. I think it. Man, that's tough. If you ask me, like, if I was trying to be objective, which is hard because there's a heavy bias to remove, like, which is the better game?
I think Ghost is right. Like,
I think it's close.
It's close.
The thing that Ghost has going for it is it doesn't have the ending of Remake.
Right, yeah.
And Remake is also telling a story of a game we've already had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I could probably give it to Ghost, but I think Remake's got higher highs than Ghost.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you agree to that? I feel like the peak... No? Okay.
No,
I feel like
I can understand. I can understand. Like, and also you kind of have
I'm
a little
biased
bit
as
of...
heck.
Yeah, you got like a little bit of like kind of second party nostalgia potentially more than I for like the original. But yeah, dude, no, I think Ghost of Tsushima is just so high, dude. Like, I mean, that ending is like, oh my god, that ending, bro. Like, grown man tears again, like,
dude, amazing.
And you are a slave to it. Like, fuck, dude, like spitting fire, like,
dude, and it's the only, barring Witcher 3. Ghost of Tsushima is the only game where I desperately want to do the side content because it's so much fun.
Yeah,
And like I said this before, but like Witcher 3, it was like, I want the story and the dialogue. Ghost, it's like, it's just fun. I'm like taking out encampments. I'm slicing bamboo. I'm following foxes. Also the side quests itself, like the narrative stuff with Ishikawa and stuff like that. It's awesome also, but Ghost of Tsushima, dude, it's so fire.
It's just a gorgeous game from start to finish. Like the emotions, the music, like one of the first displays of it was that guy coming out like in full like reed costume with his bamboo flute or whatever. And
dude, the haikus, some of those haikus made me emotional because it's like you're just sitting there, the wind's blowing, and it's like you look up and you're like, dark sky, death before me, we all must fade. And I'm like, oh dear Lord, oh help me, Jesus. So
it's really good. It's really fucking good, and I just love that game. But
amazing game. 2021, Joe. What is your game of the year?
Hitman 3.
I already forgot mine because I can't say Halo Infinite because it's not a PlayStation game.
Quick, Google it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to Google it. What'd you say though? I interrupted you. I didn't hear what you said.
Hitman 3.
What did you say? I didn't hear you again.
Hitman 3.
Hitman 3?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it was so off my radar that I wasn't even registering what you were saying.
You're like, did you say Pigman?
Pikmin 3?
Pikmin 3?
Hitman 3. Okay, tell us why Hitman 3 was your game of the year.
Hitman 3 is one of the best assassination sandbox stealth games I've ever played, hiding in plain sight, so many options, so much replayability to every mission. And the best part about Hitman 3, which is now renamed to Hitman World of Assassination, is you can play every single previous
It's so
game
weird they
within
did
it.
that. Yeah, it's so weird they
How
did that.
fucking cool is that? Like, I don't need to buy Hitman 1 and 2. I'll just buy Hitman World of Assassination. Sick.
Yeah, it's just so interesting that they did that.
Yeah,
it's cool. But has anyone else ever done that? I mean,
I can't think of one really, in all honesty. But yeah, I mean, just such a good game, dude. Like, it's not at all like narratively amazing. It's not at all like character, like it's not emotional. Like, but oh my god, is it a fucking phenomenal time where you're just murdering people, drowning people, fiber wiring people, shooting people, like poisoning people. Like, it's just an awesome sandbox that's just so well designed, and you can play it however you like. If you want to play it more like old Hitman, where you turn off all the tooltips and waypoints and stuff like I do, and figure out how to kill people based on that, you can do. Or you can do like a casual thing, which is basically leads you to where you need to go and stuff, and that'll help you out for like the casual player. Do that too. Just so fucking cool, dude. So much replayability. IO, they did a wondrous job rebooting Hitman. They really did after Absolution. So yeah,
I've been hearing one of the Last Stand Media podcasts talking about Hitman a lot lately, and they've said a lot of similar things you have.
Yeah, it's
very highly praised. 2021. So guys, this one's a tougher one for me because looking at the games released this year, games that I would potentially love that I haven't played: Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village.
Good one.
I can't mention Halo Infinite because it's Xbox.
Deathloop, maybe? Would you play Deathloop?
No, I don't think that's my type of game.
Okay.
Halo Infinite I mentioned, but it's Xbox, so I can't. Super Mario 3D World, Nintendo, so I can't. So I'm going to have to go with, and even this is kind of a fudge, I'm going to say Nier Replicant, which is, for those of you that don't know, Nier Automata came out, huge success. So Nier Replicant is a remake of the Japanese version of the original Nier that came out before Nier Automata in 2010. It's a full remake to kind of tie it in with the look and the gameplay feel of Nier Automata. I'm a few hours into it.
Yeah,
I can tell I'm going to love it because I love Nier. So that's what I'm going to choose just because it's a hard pick for me. But I don't got a lot more to say on that. In
many ways, my 2024 one, when we get to that, is very similar to that. It's like you kind of just pick whatever's the best is at the time because you don't really have much going on. But yeah, so I mean that's fine. That's a good pick. Great game. God of War 2018. God of War Ragnarok for my 2022 game of the year, no doubt, has to be right. Like, destroyed me at the end. I've said this before many a times. Broke me, grown man tears, like blubbering mess at the end. For so many
like it more than
reasons.
2018.
I like it more than 2018, which is kind of like becoming a polarized perspective. Like, some people have gone back and gone like, I think 2018 is better, but it's like, I don't know, dude. I think Ragnarok's pretty fucking fire. Yeah, dude. Phenomenal game. Improves in pretty much all the areas needed for gameplay, in my opinion. Balances things up. Some pretty broken combos you can do in 2018. Expands the world incredibly well. So many cool other realms. The characters are just leaps and bounds. Some of the most S tier characters in Sony's lineup, alongside Jin and Joel, and Ellie. Yeah, dude. God of War Ragnarok is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's number 3. Yeah, number 3. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. Took days off from work to play this.
I did too.
Yeah, adored it. Absolutely adored it. Really phenomenal. Yeah.
It's always a struggle for me between Ragnarok and Elden Ring. But I'll go ahead and say Elden Ring because I've played it more.
Yeah.
We've been over this. I think Elden Ring doesn't have what Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne and Demon Souls have, and Sekiro, where it's a very focused experience. I think that one of the biggest positives of Elden Ring is it's open world and a lot more choice in the direction you go when you want to go, and you can over level and stuff easier. But I think it makes for a less focused experience. It's less replayable.
Yep.
I don't feel it ever has highs as high as those earlier games. But Elden Ring was a cultural phenomenon. It's a blast to play. I think it's the closest anyone's come to a Breath of the Wild type style open world and pulled it off.
Yeah.
They have so much of a catalog of animations and creations to pull from, so that they could have this giant open world with such a diverse, like the enemy diversity is unmatched in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
The boss diversity, it's just phenomenal. It's one of the greats for a reason. And playing the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC this year just made me like it even more than I did when it came out. So I'll go with Elden Ring. Honestly, Elden Ring and Ragnarok, everyone knew it was going to be very challenging. Who won that year?
Yeah, it's like, do you want narrative or do you want gameplay?
Yeah. And if I remember right, Ragnarok won more awards, but
just didn't win Game of the Year.
Elden Ring won Game of the Year.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's kind of like Red Dead in many ways. It's the same thing. It's just kind of history repeating itself, just different.
2023, Joe, over to you.
Armored Core 6.
Nice. More FromSoft love.
More FromSoft, just S-tier developers. This game.
See, I should have mentioned. I didn't mention Armored Core. That's another game that's like focused.
Yeah.
From FromSoft.
Yeah. So. Armored Core 6, just a fire fucking video game. Really makes you feel like you're a robot. Really makes you feel like you're a mech. Got the exaggerated swagger of a black mech. I don't know. Yeah, like, dude. So good. Just so good. Like the best Armored Core to date, the highest selling Armored Core to date for very good reason.
Over 3 million.
Over 3 million. I think it's really put this franchise on the map in many ways, and I won't be surprised if a sequel, Armored Core 7, does double that potentially because of this and because of Elden Ring. Yeah, dude. Just everything about it is phenomenal. The amount of customization is maddeningly cool. There's like loads of replayability in the sense that there's like 3 main endings. Just so good, and I love how focused it is. Coming from Elden Ring and like big games in the past, and you jump into Armored Core, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a level. Oh, and by the way, some levels might only be fucking 5 minutes long. You can jump on for a little bit, and you can replay old missions for money. It's like, oh, that's so cool. Like, why not?
It's on my like C tier list of games I want to get to. Death Stranding's on the A tier. Like I want that to happen soon. But Armored Core, it's like I'd like to play it, but I really got to be where there's nothing else I want to play more.
Yes,
so.
yeah. Well, you got to love mechs. Yeah. Like this is the thing. Ever since to be honest, I think it was Metal Gear Solid that made me love mechs. Metal Gear Rex, Metal Gear Ray in those games. That's what made me love
Armored
mechs.
Core made it to your top 50, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then you're probably building your Gundams and you're like, I got the coolest mech game at home.
Yeah.
My little Armored Core. So, 2023, Final Fantasy 16. To me, an easy one. It wasn't the game of the year for most people. Mm-hmm. It got more like in the 8 out of 10 area. A lot of people found it to be a little too linear, a little too simplistic. For me, it was proof that Square Enix is back and that they can do massive appeal, awesome, high quality new Final Fantasies, not just remake of 7, where 16 is like this new narrative, this new characters, new world. And it was just a blast. I loved it. I feel like this is like the perfect Final Fantasy to start on because it's so accessible and so much fun. And it's very like Game of Thrones-y, medieval fantasy vibes. I don't think it was the best game made that year, but it was the one that I enjoyed the most. Just loved having it and being able to go back and forth between this and the Final Fantasy VII remake stuff. It's a dream. It's a dream.
Bro, 2023 was crazy because when I looked at this, I was like, the best year, one of the best years in gaming alongside 2007 and 2018, in my opinion. But bro, like fucking, I was like, oh, is it like as soon as I Googled the list and the first one that I saw was like Dead Space. No, the first one I saw was like Alan Wake, but obviously I haven't played that. And it was like, yeah, that was fucking fire. Then it was like Dead Space. Like I played that. It's like, yeah, that was my game of the year. And then I looked down 2 rows and it was like Armored Core. I was like, nah, that's my game of the year.
Yeah.
That's
dude. Jedi Survivor. There's Baldur's Gate 3.
And
then
I looked like
Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2.
And then I went down like 3 rows and it was like Resident Evil 4. And I was like, oh shit, like what do I pick? It's like, nah, it's got to be Armored Core, but fuck me, is it good? Like
that's a very good year. Yeah. Absolutely legendary. All right.
2024 to round it up.
Here we're currently in. It's not done yet, but up till August 7th, this is our choice. So
Helldivers 2.
Great pick. The phenomenon of the year.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I haven't played many games from 2024 because my 2024 has been me playing 2023 games to catch up.
Jedi Survivor,
Resident Evil 4, etc., etc.
Hey, 2025 will be the year that people play Jedi Survivor on Xbox One.
Woo! For more money than what the next gen version is. Yay! Good one, little Jimmy. Helldivers 2. Me and Darren played it the other night for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and then like every gaming session goes with lads, you always end up probably I mean, this is what happens with me anyway, but this is a common thing. We always just end up talking for hours and hours afterwards, just talking shit. And that's what we were doing until like 5 a.m. my time, which was ridiculous. Yeah, Helldivers 2, amazing. They've just had the latest update, a big update, new enemy types, new weapons. Yeah, dude.
This is probably the most successful live service PlayStation will ever have.
Service
game PlayStation.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. If
I mean, it's soared into the stratosphere. We're talking,
ridiculous.
It passed Spider-Man 2 in sales.
Yeah, and the investment was so low that it's even crazier.
We're talking about freaking the sequel to little top-down Helldivers from 2015 past Insomniac Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
now, obviously, Spider-Man 2 was sold at $70 as opposed to $40.
Yes,
damn.
Damn, bro. But it's such a cool game, and jumping back into it after months of not playing made me realize like just how fucking fun this game is, dude. Like, you jump in with a couple of buddies or a buddy or even on your own, and you can just have fun just blasting the shit out of bugs and robots. And no doubt they're going to bring in the I think they're called the Illuminate from the first game, which
race,
which are like a higher being of alien race like humans are, and they're like that'll be cool and stuff, like whole new enemy types, whole new planet like style and stuff. Yeah. Very excited for that update to play it, and this is definitely my 2024 game of the year.
Yeah, it's pretty boring and simple for me. It's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's
how's Chadley?
Right, Chadley. It really should be called Final Fantasy VII Chadley Edition. But the top level stuff is that it's better than I wanted it to be. It's even better than I wanted it to be, with the caveat that it's too much of a good thing. Like the main thing I wanted, which was like the expansion of the core story and characters, is better than I could have ever expected. It's 11 out of 10 for me. But and then even the open world, when the game starts, you're like, holy shit, they did good. Like, the open world's fun.
Yeah.
But then you realize that the open world in the first area, let's say it takes you 10 hours. The game then repeats that same open area like 11 times. And each one takes longer than the last. And it's so repetitive. And it's not good in like a Ghost of Tsushima way. It's in a like, I am so sick of this, it's not fun way.
Dude, Rebirth might be the first like game like that where I actually just go to the main story. Yeah,
well, if I had to guess, and I'll be interested when the day comes you play, if I had to guess, you're going to start it, and you're going to be in the first hub area, and you're going to do the side content, and you're going to be like, bro, this is actually really good, because everybody, you go anywhere, even if you even go to like sacred symbols like Colin Moriarty and Chris Raygun, even they're saying, if you go back to their first impressions, like, wow, the open world's so good, I want to do everything.
Yeah.
But then you get to later on, once they've finished the game, and they're like, oh, it was too much. They really overloaded it. So, but in the ways that matter, better than I could have ever expected. It just takes all the moments from the original game and just highlights them, and it's so good. So that's my game of the year. And truth is, nothing's going to pass it. There could be a Witcher 4 and a Bloodborne 2 this year, and I'm still going to pick Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because I'm just a shill for Final Fantasy VII. So that's the truth. But so the guys, that is our top game of the year for the last 10 years on PlayStation. We hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to say let's give our 30-second what we've been playing so we can get out of here, Joe. And I like that this is the time we chose it to give 30 seconds for that, because I think we've both agreed our next Critical Frames Plus is going to be Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
Right? Which is where I'm going to really talk about it expansively. Plus, we talked about it a little bit here in our last 10 years list.
Yep.
But my 30 seconds or less, what I've been playing is I just beat Ghost of Tsushima. The game's phenomenal. I still have the DLC to do, the expansion. There's still side content for me to do that's popped up after beating it. Game's legendary. The ending was phenomenal. Even better than people say it was. Ghost of Tsushima. So good. So that's So as for now, the next week, I'm just going to continue playing more Ghost of Tsushima, even though I beat it. Over to you, Joe.
Yeah, 30 seconds or less for Jedi Survivor. Fuck me, because I've got a lot to say on this. I'll leave that for when I complete the game, which will no doubt be the next episode.
Okay, great, perfect.
So I'll do that. But what I'll say is this game.
We need to do a Jedi Survivor critical frames also. Yeah.
I might be the one after. Who knows? Here's the thing. As much as like I think the peaks are really high in Jedi Survivor, and I've just gotten past a certain point where you chase down an old friend and shit like that after betrayal and all that. I think that the game persistently, whether it's technical issues or like just the narrative being kind of lacking in any form of incentive or hook or stake for me personally, or like just anything like that. The game perpetually puts me in the valleys all the time. Whenever I'm getting engrossed in the game to the point where I'm getting to those pinnacles, those awesome moments. And I'm struggling to like this game as much as Fallen Order. And I'm near the end now, so hopefully by that ending point we will maybe have a different opinion. But like, I've spoken to Wes about this, and he said, I don't really know if that's going to be the case if it hasn't grabbed you yet. So we'll see. But I'll give you guys my full rundown of Jedi Survivor on the next episode, because I'll be able to be completely unfiltered there and really get into the minutia. But yeah, inconsistent.
Yeah, I think Fallen. See, I liked Survivor better, and I think we both agree Survivor has elements that are better.
Yep.
But Fallen Order is just a more straightforward, consistent experience, and and it's also more familiar.
Yes.
So I think that really contributes to it. But
yeah.
But yeah, so guys, if you want to reach out to us, you can send an email or a voice clip to criticalframes@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we are at Critical Frames. If you want to throw $5 our way and get the all access pass, you can go to patreon.com/criticalframes, where you can get Discord role, get into the all access channel in Discord. You can get special extra episodes, Critical Frames Plus, get your name shouted out at the end of the episode, be on the video. We really appreciate that. It's only one tier, $5. That's all we have. I would really appreciate that there. If you want to join our Discord, everyone is welcome. And I think if you're not on YouTube, but you're listening, we're just at Critical Frames on YouTube. So, guys, this has been a really fun episode. We had some good stories, but I think mostly the highlight for me was getting to go over those Game of the Years.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
For the last 10 years. So that's a lot of fun. We never leave ourselves enough time. We could talk forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, any final thoughts from you, Joe, before we get out of here?
No, just what am I going to do now? I'm going to go eat. I really need to cut my hair because it's getting long. And I kind of want to finish Jedi Survivor tonight, so I think I'm going to like really push myself through that. Not that it's a chore, but like I just want to get it done now, you know? Like, I need to wrap up the platinum on it as well and stuff. So, yeah, dude. Fun times, fun episode, fun everything in many ways. I love it.
Yeah, well, you're going to eat and play Jedi Survivor. I know what I'm exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up dog shit. While we were recording. Yeah, while we were recording, my wife was like, hey, when you get done, can you pick up the yard? The dog poops everywhere. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to pick up dog shit. So, but after that, in about an hour and a half, we got some friends coming over. We're going to have pizza. But yeah, I'm going to pick up dog shit. So that's what I'm doing.
Lovely. I'm thinking of you.
But all right, guys, think of me and maybe turn on a podcast just like this when you're picking up dog shit. But we'll see you guys next week. We love you. Thanks for listening. Have a good one, guys.
Peace. Critical Frames, a PlayStation podcast, is created in partnership between Brian Arvett and myself, Joseph Smalley. It's available on all mainstream audio and video feeds, and all music featured in the show is by Caleb Webster. We're incredibly grateful to the following All Access Pass patrons for the support they've shown for this independent venture: Darren.jpg, Diente Di Hombre, Music Tree 23, and Wesley Types.